Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, and welcome to the Velodrome here in Invercargill for the Vantage Elite and Under-19 National Track Cycling Championships. I'm Dale Woodford, joined by Julian Einerson. Of course, we're being streamed live on skysportnext. This is session 2 on day 1 of the Vantage Elite and Under-19 National Track Cycling Championships. And we're looking forward to a great night's racing this evening. We'll be opening the program with the Elite Women's 500-metre time trial. 2 laps of this very fast track, and the track is running extremely fast as well. We saw some great times this morning with the 250-metre time trial non-championship events and, of course, the paracycling time trial events. So we know the track is running fast. It's in terrific condition. They've had the heaters on, it's warmed up, and we're looking for some very fast times tonight. Of course, the 500-metre time trial, there's nowhere to hide. We're starting with one rider on the track, Erin Downey from Canterbury, and then we'll have a rider on each side of the track for the other heats. Julian, the track is in absolutely pristine condition, as is the whole facility here, and we're in for a great few days of racing.
Yes, looking forward to it, Dal, and welcome down to the Deep South to join these 130 plus riders here for the 4 days of racing here in Invercargill at the SIT Zero Fees Velodrome. As you said, very fine conditions over the last few days. This leading into this championship has certainly allowed for this track to be very hot indeed, and that'll suit all the racing, particularly for the time trial events where the riders appreciate the warm boards. As our Canterbury rider now does her final preparations leading into this, the first heat of 7.
So safely underway, Erin Downey gets the evening session of the Vantage Elite and Under-19 Track Championships underway. 500 metres is the distance, 2 laps of the track, and out of the seat, down the back straight, she's got the traditional pursuit bike with the aero bars, which she's just getting onto now on the system. And she's got herself dialed in, sitting into the middle of the track. So the little black line is the 250-metre measure around the track. You want to stay as close as that as possible. It's the shortest way around the track. The big wide blue piece on the inside, that's called the Côte de Jour, and the apron is exactly that. The grey piece is the apron, the big bit in the middle. She comes around, stops the clock, and it just hasn't come up on our screen.
Looks like a time there, I think, down on the big screen of 39.230. And that's for the Canterbury rider, of course, a regular visitor down here in the Deep South, so she knows this track extremely well, which can be a big advantage for those riders that have contested down here for various carnivals, national championships and Oceanas, etc. And tonight, of course, we will see, as Dow's already mentioned, a lot of the technology coming out on the bikes here is every rider looking for every inch they can get on. There's confirmation, 39.230 for Erin Downey of Canterbury. So next riders now getting themselves prepared onto the track, and with the odd number of entries here, we're now going to have a rider on both sides of the track. Where they start from is where they'll finish.
We're starting in the front straight. Hannah Dunn in the back straight, good inventor. So it's Waikato Bar Plenty up against Southland at these national championships, and you can see the bikes being set into the starting gates. And if you're just new, first time along to the Velodrome or watching us on Sky Sport Next, there's a little break on the starting blocks that as the countdown timer goes, it won't release until 0. So if you try to get out a little bit early, it'll lock you in there and it will it won't let you release, you'll mistime your start, and those seconds can be very, very costly, even hundreds and thousands of a second as we go down to in cycling. So a good time for opening us up, that 39.230. Of course, the New Zealand record is Natasha Hansen, 34.209, and a very fast time. The world record was set in Mexico, the Pan American Games of 32, but of course at high altitude. New Zealand all-comers record, the Great Australian Animaires at 33.5. So it's going to be interesting tonight to see what sort of times we can get down to, see if we can get close or under that 34-second mark. The conditions are good. We'll see what sort of form the riders are in, especially the likes of Elise Andrews, who is here in her build-up to the Olympic Games.
We see the splits on the screen there as they make their way through each of the points at the halfway mark. It gives you an indication where they are up against not only their opposition but the overall standings are here in the race. The bell, of course, the indicator for the traditional 1 lap to go for the 2 riders. And it's Venter, the local rider, it looks like is going to try and secure a top time here, going through at a 37.349, so lowering the previous best time. Done there through with a 38.373. So some very quick times for the two riders here at 48 and 46 k an hour average speeds for the two.
So if you managed to get in last night, you saw a fantastic ride by the New Zealand national team. We had the team sprint, the men's and women's teams pursuits in action, and some very good times with unofficial New Zealand records posted in both teams, getting very close to world record times last night. So we know the riders that are here in the Velodrome are in very, very good form, and we're looking forward to some great racing throughout the evening. And of course, we go right through the 500-metre time trials, the 1,000-metre or the kilo, and I know a lot of the fans in the stadium and those at home will just love the absolute kilo. It's the traditional format. It's not the two-ride format. It's just lay it all on the line tonight, and one of the toughest and most popular events in track cycling. Of course, unfortunately not a part of the Olympic program anymore, and then we'll be finishing with the 10 and 15 kilometre elite scratch races at the end of the night. So plenty to come over a good 3 hours of racing here at the Vantage Elite and Under 19 National Track Championships.
So our next heats are getting themselves prepared. We've got Tyler Green of Southland up against Sammy Donnelly of Canterbury. These two know each other pretty well with the local carnivals and criterium racing, etc. over the last few seasons. Looks like just a few issues there with the starting gates on the back straight there, but they're getting things all sorted, and they'll lock that in for the rider. The commissaires keep a very close eye on it because they're the official race referees. They've got allocated areas across the velodrome on which to keep a close eye on their respective area. You can see there the commissaires just raising the flag as the rider now gets a set amount of time to prepare. And the countdown will begin for these two riders to set sail here and try and continue to lower the times here that have already been set by the previous couple of heats.
So we're looking at Sammy Donnelly just setting herself. Very well performed young rider. Tyler Green. Watched Tyler on a number of occasions across the country in the age groups. Also a real up-and-coming rider. So two young riders in this field, moving up into the elite women's. So they'll be looking to make their mark and say, hey, we're coming after some of the top riders that are still to come in the program. So the countdown out of the blocks, a very good start. Taylor Green gets away. You can see her teeth are gritted, and you've got to get out cleanly. Sammy Donnelly on the other side of the track has had an issue. It looks like a pulled wheel, so she'll be getting a restart at Green. The race hasn't been stopped, so Tyler Green is just going to put everything into it as we see Tyler Green coming around. She'll get the bells, travelling nicely.
She's done this time and time again in training, and now she's going to put it out there in race mode, as we said. So just let the rider continue on as they clear the track with the mechanical. So Green coming through for the Southland crowd as she comes down to the finishing straight, and she'll stop the clock at the time of 37.604. 37.604. This point in time looks like that put her up in the end towards contention, but there's still a number of heats here to go. Of course, 7 heats are all up, but as Dal mentioned, a number of these riders just moving up into the elite levels, which is a big step up for a number of them, Dal, over the next couple of days. It's going to be very exciting, and of course, I know some more of the experienced riders are very wary of some of the young counterparts starting to make their appearance at these championships.
Well, the depth is growing all the time, Julian, for our women's program with the various hubs running around the country, and of course a fantastic hub here in Southland run by Sid Cumming, and it's good to see some of his protégés over the years stepping up into this program. Of course, Elise Andrews came out of that program before moving up into Cambridge. Sian Fulton was fantastic last night in the 250 metre time trial, of course finishing ahead of Elise Andrews and Emma Cumming. And it's fantastic to see Emma Cumming, who will be in the last heat with Elise Andrews, coming back from what's been a pretty rugged, probably 15 months of injury. So coming back and being able to perform at the national championships in front of her home crowd.
Yes, it's going to be fantastic to see, and of course a number of local riders contesting these championships, and they'll be looking for plenty of home support. Of course, there's well over 130 odd athletes here contesting over this 4 days of racing, and a number of which have been down here before, and as we said, that can be quite an advantage when you know the track, know exactly the angles that plays, particularly when it comes to specific events when we get into the likes of the sprint racing over the next couple of days. But tonight, as we said, dedicated very much to the short and sharp time trials, all out and give it a go, and then of course into fantastic scratch racing, which there's some fantastic looking riders that are going to be lining up in contention for both the women's and the men's events.
So great to see Brian Stott there in shot. Of course, a legend commentator here at the Velodrome, and he's called thousands of races, and I'm hoping he'll come up and give me a hand in the morning sessions, Julian, when you're too busy in your day job. And it'd be great to have Stoddy. Good to see him. He was down here this morning as timekeeper, and you know, real icon, and has done so much calling the races over a number of years. He was probably calling them when we both rode bikes back in the old days.
So getting our riders now all set for the next of the heats, with Nicole Marshall and Maya Anderson, so Southland and Waikato Bay of Plenty. Marshall, you know, fine protege of track racing, particularly for the sprint events over the last half dozen years or so, just been coming up through the ranks and has performed extremely well. Took part in the Waikato Championships earlier in the year, so she'll know the calibre of Maya, and it's going to be a good contest between the two, but ultimately they know it's purely against the clock, so give it absolutely everything. Try and get that start to perfection. Makes all the difference when you've only got 500 metres to try and get everything right.
So as you often see the sprint riders, if you're wondering the different handlebars, you'll see some of the riders use the aero handlebar. The sprinters likes to often just use the traditional sprint bike on the sprint handlebars. Of course, Christina Vogel, the great Christina Vogel, that's what she used, and won numerous world titles. She's an Olympic champion, always rode on the sprint bars.
So good support for the two riders as they get up and underway here to push the big gears. Of course, gear selection, all important on any track racing, but particularly when it comes to the time trial, no opportunity to make any changes. It's just straight into the big pounding gears. You don't want to overdo it though, as they try and space it out over the 2 laps. It's a fine knife edge as the bell comes into play here for the two riders. And it's very tight between the two as they try to lower the top times here. Marshall looking very good at the splits here at this point in time into number 1 position. Anderson into the top 3 as they go to their respective lines, and it is Nicole Marshall Southland moves into top billing with a 36.350. 36.350. 49.5k an hour there for Nicole Marshall, with Maya Anderson a very respectable time with 37.665 to move into 3rd position.
Well, as we move through the program, of course, as you'd expect, the seated riders, they're starting to show their form. So it's a very good ride, 36.350, Nicole Marshall. Olivia Ray, Emily Patterson, getting themselves set to come up onto the track. Olivia Ray, great to see Olivia here on the track, of course, the National Road Criterium champion, the title she won in Christchurch. So winner of the Gravel and Tar, and is signed for the Raleigh Pro Cycling team in the USA, where she rides criteriums day in, day out, and good to see her on the track. Good to have her here at home in New Zealand. Her family will be looking, tuned in. Alex Ray, great young man, very good rider.
Of course, she's up against the local hope with Emily Patterson, who's been in some fine form, the junior world representative, silver medalist in the team's pursuits. So a good combination here, but as you said, Dal, Ray has been in some outstanding form on the road. Can she transfer that across to the short and sharp 500 metres? We're about to find out as the two set sail.
So both riders away cleanly and are pretty even between the two. Emily Patterson just a little bit faster. Olivia Ray will really fancy the endurance and bunch events later in the program, but she's putting everything out there in this 500 metre time trial. That both riders with plenty of work to do as they come down to their respective lines. They just start working into it, working away. Olivia Ray fighting Emily Patterson down the back straight. There we go. Olivia Ray with 36.300 moves into the top spot.
So a fantastic effort there from the Aucklander to secure top spots here with only a few heats now remaining. Patterson moving into 3rd position with a 6.621. So some very tight racing here for this 500 metres. There won't be much in it whatsoever. And of course, not only these riders going for individual honours here at this championships, but of course also trying to secure points for the point shield as well over the 2 lots of championships here over the coming weeks.
So Olivia Ray, she'll be sitting in the hot seat. She knows what's to come. And the next start, we've got Olivia King, Sian Fulton, another 2 very good riders. Sian Fulton, the national Keirin and Sprint champion. She showed her form over 1 lap earlier today, taking the 250 metre time trial. Olivia King also in very good form, and that wasn't a lot between all the riders in the 250, so it was a non-championship event, but gives us an idea of course, starting as the women's team sprint in the future. Well, it's currently 2 riders, it moves to 3 riders. And so Cycling New Zealand putting in the 250 metre time trial starts to identify some young talent coming through over the 1 lap, and we'll see if Sian can carry that form that she showed this morning into tonight's 2 lap. Riding for the Tasman Centre, Olivia King from Waikato Bay of Plenty. The ponytail set, ready. And Olivia King blasts out of the blocks. You can see the effort, the shoulders pointed up, head up, getting the hips over the forward and over the pedals to generate power as quickly as possible. Sian Fulton into full flight on top of her gear. She'll sit down as they go into this bend. There she goes, and there's not much between the 2 riders. Sian Fulton and Olivia King fighting it out. Sian Fulton, 19.6. That's a very good opening lap. So she moves into first position. Sian Fulton sitting nice and low over the handlebars. Olivia King looking very good as well, maybe on slightly lower gear than Sian Fulton. Fulton comes down, she'll come into the straight. She stops the clock, 34.239. 34.239, that is an outstanding ride by Sian Fulton.
Outstanding effort indeed here in our second to last heat of this 500 metres, and very tight towards the New Zealand record time as well there for the young lady from Tasman there. Been down here in the Deep South a number of times. We've seen her through the junior ranks, and she continues to show us why she's one of the fastest talents here out on the track.
Well, very good performance. The New Zealand record, 34.209, and she rode 34.239. So it's that 300ths outside the record. So Sian Fulton has come to these championships with some form, which is fantastic to see. Nice wide shot of the infield and hive of activity with riders warming up, warming down, getting ready there for their event. The starter stands in the middle, so they've got the timer there. So in the white shirt, that could be Mark Reynolds there. Steve Hurring over there on the far side of the track. Flags down, and we're getting ready for Elise Andrews and Emma Cumming. Elise Andrews in the front straight, Emma Cumming in the back straight. Well, Julian, no doubt who'll have all the home crowd support tonight. Emma Cumming.
Absolutely fantastic to see her back on the track, as you said, after a couple of years now back in rehab there for the injury, and now coming out to try and put the body on the line here to see what she can produce at these championships. She said she's not putting loads of pressure on herself, just going to get out there, see what she can produce here tonight. One of her favourite events, of course, medalist at the Commonwealth Games in this particular event. And I had the pleasure of seeing that live over there in Australia, and she has a very quick start out of the gates, which is all important. As has Andrews, of course, who's been a former world champion in the individual pursuit. She switched between endurance to sprints, and these two now going head-to-head as they head down into their respective straights. Andrews sitting in second overall at this point in time. Cumming sitting in fourth, so both securing some good splits here as they come towards their respective finishing points here. Give them some support, crowds. This is the time to do it as they come to the line. Oh, Andrews, a 34.704. 34.704 for Elise Andrews into second position overall here. Emma Cumming with a very good comeback rides here for her first time back at the Velodrome with a 35.628 into fourth position.
Oh, and congratulations, Sian Fulton. What a performance. 34.239 taking the win in the Women's Elite 500 metre time trial. She will be delighted. She's opened the championships this morning in the 250, backed it up tonight in the 500, just missing out on that New Zealand record. And of course, you know, the great Natasha Hanson's New Zealand record as well.
Yes, of course, Natasha just retiring in recent times, no doubt, is tuned in here, watching to see how these young riders are going to do up against the times that she has set in her respective events here. But showing already here tonight that this track is very fast indeed, and expect to see some challenges for some of those records as the evening progresses.
For those at home, thanks very much for viewing on Sky Sport Next. If you have any questions or comments for Julian or myself, we're very happy to answer them. If I don't know, I'm sure Julian Woody's like an encyclopedia, especially of everything Southland cycling, and does a fantastic job of updating everything. And the facility in here, Julian, built in 2006, it's like in pristine condition. You go, you can just about eat your dinner off anywhere in this facility. It's so well cared for, so well loved by the people of Southland, and it's a real pleasure to be here. 10 years ago since I was last here, and that was just for a visit. So my very first event here in Southland. And it's exciting to see the level in Olympic year, having the whole national team here preparing. We're in for some great racing.
Oh, absolutely. It's a fantastic facility to have here for the community of Southland and for New Zealand, of course, as it's New Zealand's first ever indoor velodrome, and it's had some awesome events over the years, of course, including Junior World Championships, Oceania Championships. And of course, this young lady here, as we've said before, and that has been on the track a number of times, Donnelly, now heading around over this 500-metre distance. It's a challenging event, one that's knife-edge stuff to just get it right, to be able to give 100%, but keep it as balanced as possible, not to burn all your matches in that first lap as she comes through with the time. Here with the 36.908, 36.908. Of course, Sammy having that mechanical earlier on, and that's been given the opportunity to head back out there to complete all of the various heats here tonight for that women's event.
So there'll be more of the same coming up in event 10. It'll be the women's under 19 500-metre time trial. We look at Sammy Donnelly just warming down, and we'll have the results confirmed shortly. The top three riders in the Elite Women's 500-metre time trial at the Vantage Elite and Under 19 National Track Cycling Championships. As I said, Del Woodford along with Julian Anderson will be calling all the night sessions here at the Velodrome and on Sky Sport Next.
So getting prepared for event number 10, of course, is the women's under 19 500-metre time trial. So exactly what we're seeing here with these younger competitors are going to be making their start here very shortly, and we'll see a number of them who've just moved up into the under 19 ranks. Quite a few heats are involved in this one as well, again, purely up against the clock. So they'll just make sure they've got all the results firmly through for the previous event and get those signed off by the Chief Com. As they get things organised here with the technology, you can see the various cables hanging off the rear of the starting gates. And you might have noticed, those that are new to the sport here, the officials, they have one that sort of leans over top of the starting gate at the beginning there for each of those riders, because there's a lot of pressure that will go into those starting gates. And as Dal mentioned earlier on, you can't actually take off any earlier than when the clock allows you to, and the brake pad basically releases the bike. And we'll see that shortly when we move into the kilometre time trial, where some of the big sprinters will be blasting out of those blocks and giving it absolute death.
Nice to see the riders in the infield having a laugh, having a chat, getting ready for their events. Various riders, different warm-up protocols. Some will have the music playing in their ears, some will just be firmly focused on what's ahead.
So interesting to note, of course, some of the records here, Dal, just some of the riders we've just been mentioning when they were back in the under 19 ranks, with likes of Emma Cumming with a time of 35.197 for the New Zealand champs records, and Elise Andrews with the New Zealand record of 34.934. So often you do see that, don't you? The riders coming through the junior ranks, pretty consistent in that, but there's always that bolt who's just new to the sport, just appears out of the blue at every championship, and it makes for exciting times.
So I'll just explain those records. So the New Zealand Championship record is done at a New Zealand Championship event. The New Zealand all-comers record can be done anywhere in the world. So Elise Andrews' all-comers record of 34.934 was done in Argyll in Switzerland at the Junior World Championships. Emma Cummings It would have been done at the New Zealand National Track Championships up in Cambridge, 2016. It just shows they were travelling pretty well. And, you know, when you look at the times done tonight, Lisa Andrews is 34.9. She just went a couple of 100 seconds faster tonight. So at under 19 level, you're right on the pace.
So we're underway here. Looks like the two riders with Breen and Harris Blaine out onto the track. So two Southland riders contesting here. And of course, they've had a lot of training together here. So now putting it into competition mode. For the first of our heats, looks like we've got something like 7 heats involved here in the under 19 women's events. And again, the traditional bell indicating for the riders 250 metres now remaining. And you can see them trying to hug that black line. If they can get just underneath that there, they'll just shave off a little bit more time. As we see the splits coming through as they approach the last few metres here for the two Southland riders. And Breen going through with a time of 38.374, 38.374. And Harris Blaine into second with a 38.763, 38.763 for the first of our heats here in the under 19 women's 500 metre time trial.
So we'll just run through this evening's program. If you've just joined us on Sky Sport Next or just popped into after work and got settled in for the evening in the stadium, we're currently the under 19 women's 500 metre time trial. They'll be followed by the elite men's 1,000 metre time trial final. Then we'll have the under 19 men's 1,000 metre, the kilometre time trial. And then we'll have the event number 13 will be the elite women's scratch race over 10 kilometres. And the final event on this evening's program will be the elite men's 15 kilometre scratch race. And what a lineup we have for that. So plenty of good racing to come. Really looking forward to the kilo. It's been a long time since I've seen a kilo in the format it is now, with just a straight kilo, the one ride, and how many will go around that 1 minute, or will we see a sub 1 minute ride this evening?
Yeah, certainly speaking to a few of the riders over the last couple of days, they were very excited by the fact of the very hot conditions down in the deep south, which certainly makes a difference. People get a bit confused thinking, well, how can the weather outside make a bit of a difference to the inside here? Well, the combination of that, along with the heaters that are turned right up as well, just trying to get that air pressure just right for the optimum for these riders to try and produce the top times possible. Can get a little bit hot and sweaty sitting in the stands watching, but we want to see the fastest possible times being produced by these riders, and that certainly looks to be, at this point in time, the script that's going to be available for these riders to do so.
So Jade Perry, Madison Lowry, the riders on track. So underway. Oh, Jade Perry's pulled a foot, and that is very costly. That's why you use those G-Race straps. Strap your foot in. You won't see any of the top sprinters, particularly the male, top female sprinters, riding without straps, because the pressure that goes in out of the starting blocks. So she'll get a restart later in the program. Madison Lowry, though, into her work onto the aero bars. So as we said earlier, some of the riders choosing the pursuit bike and others going for the straight out sprint bike. So let's see what sort of time Madison Lowry produces over this 500 metre time trial.
It's an interesting decision determining what sort of technology you're going to utilise over such a short distance. Some would argue the case that it takes a few moments just to get down on those bars and get things under control, as Larry goes through with a time of 39.626, 39.626. Of course, those of you that are new to the sport, just seeing that foot being pulled there by the opposition in that particular event. These riders here have these cleats underneath the shoes, very much like a ski bind is probably the best way to describe those, and they've got to look after them pretty well too. Walking around on them, they can get worn down over time. And as Dow said, a lot of top riders still to this day. It's been around for a number of years. Dow, of course, the old toe straps being put on there because there's a lot of pressure. Absolutely, we couldn't emphasise it enough how much sort of pressure goes on when it comes to some of the serious sprinters getting out of those blocks.
This is the under 19 500 metre time trial final. The 19 women's 500 metre time trial. Of course, riders, some of the riders I see coming later in the program. Jenna Borthwick, of course, rode the National Road Championships just a week ago. So a big transition there from switching to a tough road race, getting dialed in again, but of course coached by Terry Jide. He will have a plan, no doubt, and he would have brought her here in good form. There he is in shot.
There's certainly a number of riders that have just come off a bit of a roadblock here. We'll see that later on. We talk about some of the riders when it comes to the likes of the scratch race as well. So mixing it up and just getting that balance just right. And that's, of course, track racing typically split into two divisions, basically the sprint event and the endurance event. And some riders just like to mix it up even further and combine them in both types of events. We'll see that with a few of these riders who will contest both the scratch race, which would be considered an endurance event, as well as some of these short, sharp efforts here on the SIT Zero Fees Velodrome here in Invercargill. Of course, talking of those records earlier on, we've got Smitleva of Russia back in 2012 when the Junior Worlds were held here. Just a smidgen over the 34-second mark, the 34.753 she set at that time. Of course, she's been back to New Zealand since, and that's now in the senior ranks, and she's at the World Cup in Cambridge. So it just gives you an idea how fast these tracks can be, as our two riders now out on the track here with Fowler and Walker. So Prudence Fowler sitting in number one position here, a very well performed rider, and will be a serious contender over the coming days.
Prudence Fowler going through with the top time so far. 37.883, just to give you an idea of the speed. 47.5 kilometres an hour from a standing start. So that's getting fairly quick in the under 19. Of course, a wee way to go to challenge the national records, but as we go through, the riders are generally seeded. We'll see how good the seedings are and who can produce that stellar performance. Have we got another Emma Cumming, Elise Andrews, amongst this group of under 19 women? I know Graham Hunn, the high performance development manager for Cycling New Zealand, is here, and he will be keeping a very close eye on what's coming through, because as will Renee Wolf, and I hope to have Renee Wolf up in the commentary with us sometime throughout the championship just to talk about the sprint program and the retirement of Eddie Dawkins, of course, and Sam Dakin coming in, and then what's coming through after that. I've seen Bradley Knipe on the track earlier. He is in great form as well. Good to see Bradley back. So going to be some great sprinting on tomorrow's program.
So Kira Kelly here of Southland up against Michaela Grant. Of course, you might have the opposition on the other side of the track, but you're not too concerned by that. As we've said earlier on, it's all about the time itself up against the clock. Of course, one of the other big influences here to determine whether you can go out there and produce this explosive effort is that warm-up, which the riders have made sure that they try and fine-tune and get it absolutely right, so they arrive onto the track to be able to just go straight out of those blocks as hard and as fast as they possibly can. Kelly, of course, with the advantage on her home turf here, has done this time and time again. She's currently in number one position, 12.9 second for the first split. Grant sitting at about 6th or 7th overall, but there's plenty of time available to her now. She drops it down into 4th, and it's still Kelly holding on to number one position. Can she hold on to this all the way to the finish as she goes through with another good split? Grant now dropping into 3rd position. These two challengers here for the podium are doing extremely well in the under 19s, as Kelly ends up with 2nd place with a 37.398, and Grant progressed all the way through to take number one billing with a 37.350. A very well timed effort indeed by Michaela Grant to currently go into the number one position here in the 500 for the under 19 woman.
Well, it's never over, is it? The 500 metre time trial. 2 laps of the track, and she brought it home in the last 125 metres, got the advantage. Julian was talking about the warm-up earlier in the day. Julian, we were talking to Renee Wolf about the warm-up for the sprinters. What do they do? And different programs for different riders. Some like to do various things, but their warm-up for this, what is a 34-second event, started 90 minutes before they get on the line. So an hour and a half warm-up for the riders. Of course, they're not riding the bike for the whole time. Some of them like to do activations. I know, like Ethan Mitchell likes to do some stair jumps and a few like box jump type things for for his explosive fast twitch fibres. Others will do some sprints on the rollers, but a 90-minute warm-up for a 34-second effort as we now look at 2 more riders on the line.
And it is Amelia Sykes who's going to be making herself available here on the home straight. Sophie DeVries onto the back straights for Waikato Bay of Plenty here in event number 10. These Vantage Windows and Doors New Zealand Track Championships here. The under-19 event, and only a few more heats now remaining. Of course, they've got the slight advantage of knowing what the times are that have been set by the earlier heats, because ultimately the control is all about what they can produce here over the 2 laps, not what their opposition can do.
This morning was in great form in the 250-metre time trial, so he had a brilliant ride in that. She'll be hoping to repeat that start and that effort this evening in this 500-metre time trial final. Under-19 women's at the Vantage Elite and Under-19 National Track Championships. It's day 1, session number 2. Del Woodford with Julian Ironson alongside me, bringing you the action on Sky Sport Next, which we'll be doing over the next 5 nights, right through to Saturday.
Amelia Sykes certainly looking like she's going to be in some good form here, currently sitting in number 1 position. DeVries there sitting in second as they stop the clocks here at a 35.832. 35.832 there for Amelia to take the number 1 billing from DeVries with a 36.659. So two very good times, 50k average. That is outstanding stuff here over the short and sharp 500 metres.
Yeah, 35, just 35.8, so at least Emma Cumming's national record's 35.197, so she'll be happy with that ride. Getting close to that national record is always a good performance. So we're into the final heat. So they've seen the time posted. Sophie DeVries, as I mentioned, in great form this morning in the 250s, carried that on tonight into the 500-metre time trial. So the next 2 riders coming up onto the track, if it's as per my program, but we'll wait till it comes up onto the screen because it has changed. We don't have the latest communique from down in the infield to just who's coming up onto the track. It should be Amelia Sykes of Canterbury.
Of course, a number of these riders not only going to be contesting this event here tonight, but their names will pop up over the 4 days of racing, and that's going to be interesting in itself, how they balance out their programs. Would have gone into it with a firm plan with their coaching staff, exactly which ones they're specifically targeting. Some they may just be using just to stretch the legs a wee bit, get the lungs moving, and have certain events that they're going to be putting an all-out effort in. They may be in team support for some of their riders also in some of the bunch races. But of course, for some of them, we'll have a very heavy program. And as we've mentioned, some have just come off a road campaign. So it might just take 1 or 2 races just for the bodies just to adjust a wee bit. And speaking of which, here's Jenna Borthwick of Canterbury, and who recently performed extremely well, as she does. She's missed consistency when it comes to both the road and the track, and of course selected for the Junior World Championships, which, of course, like everything, has been postponed. That was going to be held in Cairo in Egypt, so fingers crossed that still could go ahead.
Jenna Borthwick, Lily Kaywood. So Jenna Borthwick, one of the outstanding young talents, numerous national titles to her name.
Up against Kaywood here of Waikato Bay of Plenty. So you can see the riders, some of them opting just to sort of rock back and forth there and timing with the clock. Each rider will have a specific way in which they do their start, and they would have trained on that over and over again to just get that right. Out of the blocks they'll go. And at the moment, Kaywood's away with a stunner of a 12.6 second here, challenging the top billing. Borthwick, a bit of time to have to make up. She's moved into 4th place, but Lily Kaywood still leading it here at the next of the splits here at the SIT Xeropees Velodrome. Slipping back into 2nd. Borthwick still sitting in 4th place. Can she get herself into middle contention as they approach the end of the deadline for the 2 of them? Borthwick moves into 2nd place with a 36.130. A stunning comeback towards the end, and Kaywood, after a very good first half there, just falling off the pace a wee bit, but still a very good time with 36.7.
So Jenna Borthwick showing her strength. Of course, coming off the road, the endurance rider, but showing the strength over the last lap, whereas the other rider, Lily Kaywood, brilliant start, real sprinter start, fading a little bit. So both riders going to their strengths and different outcome. So plenty to work on. The speed for Jenna Borthwick, it'll come throughout the championships as she finds her track legs, and I'm sure Lily Kaywood won't be disappointed with that performance. It was a very good ride, got away cleanly.
Yes, and as we've mentioned, it's a fine line for only 500 metres, and that you're giving it everything, but at the same time just to balance it out, to spread that workload so that you come home faster than that first particular lap. And as we saw there, a rider having a very quick opening lap there, hoping that she would just be able to bring that home, but the legs just gave away a little bit towards the ends.
Yeah, nice to see Greg Henderson's tuned in, and he's dead right. He's commented Jenna Borthwick is an individual pursuit rider, and we will see that event later on in the program. And of course, both riders, Greg when he was riding was coached by Terry Jide, as is Jenna Borthwick. And good to see Terry here, looking still very fit himself. Jade Perry, so she was the rider that pulled her foot earlier in the program, getting a restart. Knows the time to beat. It's been set, so plenty to ride for Jade Perry. She's been able to reset herself. Gets underway. Young rider came through the program, Waikato Dio.
So you can see the riders out of the seat, obviously, at the very start of it there. Some will use pretty much about half to 2/3 of the first lap just to wind it up and then fully throw the bike forward and sit down. You'll see some that just haven't quite got the technique sussed out. The coaches will be watching for that there and give them some reinforcement afterwards when they come off. But for the vast majority, they managed just to time that to perfection. They've practiced it time and time again because it makes a big difference. As Perry comes through, 11th overall, the time of 39.337. 39.337. It's an average speed of 45.757 k an hour here in the under 19 women's 500 metre time trial.
So that's all the riders that have been out on the track in the under 19 500 metre time trial. Sophie De Veers with the 35.832. Of course, that's provisionally what I wrote down, but we'll wait till the results come up on the scoreboard, and we'll see the graphic on our screen as well. There we go. Amelia Sykes actually with 35.832. Jenna Borthwick, 36.130. Sophie De Veers, 36.59. Lily Kaywood, very good ride, fourth place, 36.7. So some really encouraging performances. A nice high 35s and some low 36s there. So I'm sure Graham Hunn will be taking a note of that and go, well, we've got a little bit of work to do, but we're heading in the right direction with our young sprinters in the 500 metre time trial. Next event on the program at the Vantage Windows and Doors Elite and Under 19 Track Cycling Championships coming up. Don't go away, it's the men's elite kilometre time trial. The first rider in heat number one, we have Corbin Strong. I have Mike Thomas from Wellington, also starting in the back straight. I see the gate on the track, but I don't see Mike, so Corbin Strong. He needs no introduction to Southland or anybody that follows cycling in New Zealand. Part of the men's team's pursuit, the endurance program building up for the Olympics, the world points race champion, racing at home, and of course winner of the New Zealand Cycle Classic. Absolutely, Julian, one of the nicest young men you could ever meet. Real credit to his family, himself, and everybody here in Southland. Incredible performer, and always looks relaxed. Always has time to stop and say hello and have a chat and give encouragement to other young riders coming through. Corbin Strong, I haven't seen him ride a 1,000 metre time trial. I'm sure you have. So he's up against Wellington's Mike Thomas.
Yes, Corbin's he's won the Southland title before, which would be no great surprise for people in here who have been following the sport, and he's a great ambassador for not only the sport but also Southland and New Zealand as a whole. So great seeing him in action here in his home crowd support up against the Wellingtonian here, Mike Thomas. So 4 laps for these riders, double the distance, of course, what we've just seen. This will hurt the legs. This one here, anyone that's done a kilo before knows what it's all about. It's a lot of pain.
The New Zealand Championship record held by Nick Kyrgyzou, of course, the time he did in 2019 in Cambridge, 1 minute 7:57. Simon van Veldhoven, the New Zealand record at 59:148, of course, was done. And up in Mexico, Aguilalente's Velodrome, of course, high up at altitude, where Francis Purvis also set the world record of the 56:303, actually on the very same day. Zach Williams holds the New Zealand all-comers record. He did that at the Oceania Track Championships with a 1 minute 0.44. So will we see a sub 1 minute tonight? We will find out a little bit later in the program. Kyrgyzou's in the very last heat. Zach Williams just in front of that, so we'll see what sort of times they can produce. Corbin Strong through the 533, so he's travelling nicely.
Yes, he's powering into it there, and he's maintaining it, because of course they go into that last 250 metres. That's when the wheels start to fall off here. As he heads through into the bow, he'll be giving it absolute death here. One of the enduro riders to take part in this kilo. And of course for these guys, it's part and parcel of their training every day when it comes to the team's pursuit riding. But they'll still be hurting out there, as we'll see Strong coming through with a very respectable time of 102.562. 102.562. That's a 57.5k average speed up against Thomas's 109, 107 at 52.092. But Corbin Strong setting the bar early here for the 1,000-metre time trial.
Well, very good opening heat. Now that sets the benchmark. Those to come will be thinking, whoa, it's fast out there tonight. That 102 from Corbin Strong. Great way to start the program. An awesome ride, and something that we'll see tonight. There's some, we look through the field, we've got a mix. We haven't got any of the real sprinters here because, of course, we'll often see them ride in the kilo, but with the sprint qualifying tomorrow morning, they've decided to sit this out. So it's really a battle of the endurance riders. Zach Williams, who stepped up from being a sprinter, and of course the all-comers record holder, he's in the second to last heat. He's switched from the sprint program into the endurance program, but he powered the tandem around in the paracycling this morning in their final. So his legs will be a little bit tweaked after that. So it'll be interesting to see what sort of time he can produce after a big ride this morning. We have, Regan Goff, Kean Watts, Hugo Jones, lots of great riders to come. It's Dan Bridgewater, Jack Hayden will be the next riders that we see on the track. Bridgewater, colours of Waikato Bay are plenty in the front straight. Jack Hayden for the hometown in the back straight.
Both these riders being based down here at the SIT Zerofees Velodrome just recently. Bridgewater making his way into the deep south following the Tour of Southlands. He's a powerful ox, and we saw him in a local carnival down here in the new year, and Bridgewater pretty much cleaned up most events when it came to the open racing. Up against Jack Hayden. Jack, just a bit of his cross-training, Dowd, just a few weeks ago, was actually contesting for the first time in his riding career some grass track racing. So I don't know how that's going to assist him here for the 1,000-metre time trial, though, to be fair, it's pretty hard going out in that grass, so he's probably not finding it much more easier here this evening.
Well, it'll be a lot smoother anyway, because Tour Tapri Sports Star, I think it was. I saw the pictures, Julian, and one of the long traditional events here in Southland, and probably maybe the only grass track meeting still held in New Zealand. Of course, it was an event that over many years was a national championship, and I know some of the comments and that from your post, some of the old guys reminiscing of the glorious grass track racing days. Bridgewater, second fastest so far. Very strong ride. Both riders, there we go. Bridgewater 104, so into second position with a 104.020.
Jack Hayden going through there with a time of 107.780 to position himself into third place here early on in the competition. But as we've said, there's some very strong riders here to contest this one. Will we see the 1 minute mark being hit? Of course, there'll be some big gears being ridden out here tonight. We've mentioned it earlier on that gear selection is all important. And when it comes to this particular event, some of these riders in this day and age here are riding some massive gears. You're looking at 115, 120 inch gear for some even larger than that. Just determining how they're feeling, how the training's gone, what the conditions are like at the Velodrome here. As we see next of our riders now starting to get themselves prepared here. Looks like we've got on our start sheet 8 heats to contest this particular title at this National Championships.
Hugo Jones, Hamish Keast. So Hugo Jones just getting himself set, just checking out his position nice and low on the pursuit bike. So just going through how he's going to be in his mind when he gets that big gear wound up. Hugo Jones of Canterbury up against Southland's Hamish Keast. Sitting top of the leaderboard, 102.562.
He's Corbin Strong with the leads currently at this point in time. Of course, the likes of Hugo Jones here, we know he's been in some pretty good sort of form. A man who secured like a 4.13, I think, up in Waikato recently for the individual pursuit. So a very fast rider indeed. What can he produce over the 4 laps up against the local man, Hamish Keast, who's just come off a pretty strong road campaign for supporting his team up at the New Zealand Classic, along with a few of these other endurance riders here. But it's Jones who goes through, sitting in second overall in the billing at this point. Now moves himself into first place. So we're about to see a bit of a challenge there for the 102 set by Corbin Strong. What can Jones bring it home in? Over this past 12 months, he's really started to step up both on the road and the track here. Can he maintain it? He's currently still in the first place here with the latest split. Keast sitting in 5th and starting to wobble over the track a little bit there, showing the signs of fatigue. But the man from Canterbury, hugging in the inside of the track, is going to challenge for number 1 billing as he goes through a 102.280. 102.280. Just a sneak inside Corbin Strong's time and put himself into number 1 position. Hamish Keast coming home with a 106.050 to move into number 4 place.
Well, Hugo Jones will be happy with that ride. 102. It's a great performance. He knew what he wanted to do. We saw him preparing at the start and he got away and he just went better and better. And that's what you'd expect. He's a team's pursuit rider. And he really showed that, holding that speed on that big gear right throughout the kilometre time trial. Fantastic performance from Hugo Jones.
Yeah, it's incredible to think in these last few years now that these riders that are involved in the teams pursuiting, the individual pursuiting, typically wouldn't have seen them in a lot of the kilos over the years. As we said before, it's usually the domain of a lot of the sprinters, but these guys these days have to go out and do something like so that and then continue it for another 3,000 metres with their teammates. So the pressure's on, so this is just part and parcel of their training, day in, day out now for their jobs, and a number of them are. That's what they are, professional athletes going out here and tonight putting it into competition mode, which is fantastic to be able to see. Dal, of course, one of the few countries in the world being able to hold its own championships, and I know these riders are very excited to do so.
Well, Josh Scott, I've seen what Hugo Jones produced. Of course, both riders very familiar on the track, both very good teams, individual and Madison riders. Keegan Hornblow in the colours of Tasman. Well, he's seen Sean Fulton take out a gold medal and he'll be wanting to do the same. So Josh Scott, it's all about getting a good start, a nice opening first lap, settling into your ride and then being able to bring it home in the kilometres. So Josh Scott, so you see that first split, that's for the 125 metre distance, so the first half lap, the 250, 1 lap of the track, so 4th fastest, 20.4. That's a good opening lap from from Josh Scott. So Josh Scott, Keegan Hornblow, both are getting into their work. Josh Scott sitting there, he's the 3rd fastest. He's just going to keep building on his ride and try and increase the pace, increase the tempo. Sitting on 52.5 kilometres an hour, Josh Scott heads right down. He's not even looking at the little black line on the track. He's just looking down at that handlebar stem, trying to keep it together, stay nice and smooth on the bike. The shoulders aren't rolling, so he's going extremely well. He's just building into his ride. He's in 2nd position, so he's going to start challenging. Moves up into first place at 57.6 kilometres an hour. Josh Scott of Canterbury. Can he hang it on? Can he bring it home? There we go. That is a good ride. He's looking very, very good. It's a 101.648. 101.648. Josh Scott, well, he can punch the air as he comes around.
Is an outstanding time, over 58k an hour there for Josh Scott. He's come up nicely over the last few weeks here. Saw him in the carnival up in Canterbury in the new year, and you can see he's just progressing in the right direction here and has come in with some hot form here for the kilo. Of Of course, he's a well-performed rider, both through the junior ranks, both on the road and the track. He's one of a few, along with Hugo Jones, where they teamed up and rode against the likes of Mark Cavendish in the 6-day racing. So he's got plenty of experience for those young legs. And he has set a very high benchmark here for the remaining heats that are coming up here over the 1,000 metres. And as we mentioned, the gearing all important. I noticed Greg Henderson making the comment back in his day. 91.8 would be the sort of gearing he would ride. As we said, 115 plus would be pretty stock standard for a lot of these riders. That's in inches, and that's why you see these riders. It's a bit like getting in the car and putting it into fifth to start. And it's very hard indeed. You can see the huge chain rings that these riders have on as they try and get the correct gearing to power into it and take out this 1,000-metre distance.
So Regan Goff in the yellow of the East Coast North Island, member of the men's team's pursuit team that rode that very good ride last night. It'll be a while since Regan's ridden the kilometre individual time trial. It's a rider that was a junior world champion, multiple occasions. Kian Watts, who was a member of the Black Spoke Pro Cycling Academy on the road, but also as a under 17, under 19 rider, plenty of junior titles. So again, backing up from the Road Nationals onto the track, Regan Goff, Kian Watts. Regan Goff looking good. He's very good through the 375 into the top spot, so we know he won't slow down, Regan Goff. He's got plenty of strength, plenty of speed, so he's just got to hold it together, hug that little black line. 40.6 through the 625. So what will he go through the 750? And Regan Goff, he's traveling at 56.8 kilometers an hour. And he's building on it as well. So Regan Goff, he's right over the bike, smooth, head down. A little bit of a wobble there, so it's starting to dig in. It's really starting to bite him. He'll come round towards the finish. Second position, 101.796.
Just that last 50 metres, the legs just started to fall off a bit. After some huge effort over the big gear to try and secure that fastest time, but 101.796 for Regan Goff to position himself into second position. And a fifth placing there for Kian Watts with a 103.654. A number of years ago, that would have secured you medals at things like some Olympic Games, etc. Now these guys are producing it at national championships, and they're doing it on a regular basis. So current standing sees Josh Scott with a 101.648 in number one position, followed by Goff there with that 101.796, and Jones of Canterbury with a 102.280, Corbin Strong with the 102 as well. They're your top four. So pressure going on, the last remaining heats here, knowing full well they're probably going to have to crack the 101 if they're going to take out this title at these national championships.
So Aaron Gate on the track in the starting blocks, and Aaron was looking good. He was riding around the track here in between sessions, punched his front wheel, did everything right, and showed amazing skills to hold it up. So Aaron Gate, George Jackson in the colours of Wellington. It's George, a junior world's team's pursuit rider. They won a world title. Aaron Gate, he has had the form of his life this summer. What can he bring into these championships? So Gate in the back straight, George Jackson in the front straight, Aaron Gate underway, that familiar style, the flat pedaling action, ankles walking over the top, getting everything out of it. George Jackson, the taller figure, throwing everything into it as well. Aaron Gate, a good opening half lap, so it's a good start. Aaron Gate, as we've seen from the other pursuit riders, they won't slow down in this kilometre time trial. It's what they can do, what speed can they get up to, and how much can they hang on. So Hayden Ralston giving George Jackson the call from the side of the track, the double Olympic medalist and former World Pro Tour rider. George Jackson into fourth. Gate's got plenty of work to do from there. George Jackson travelling nicely. Aaron Gate, fifth and seventh so far in the 1,000-metre time trial as they go through the three-quarter distance. Both riders being told by their coaches, well, you've got to get out there and do this. We want to see what sort of form you've got over the 1,000 metre. We know it's going to hurt your legs, but that's what the national championships are about. So Aaron Gates stops the clock in 5th place, 103.1. George Jackson right behind him, 103.291.
So again, two very respectable times here. But outside those top three, the 103, a lot of riders will be very pleased to be able to get down to that sort of time. But again, it shows you the caliber of riders that we've got here, putting the pressure on to get into the top three for the podium. And of course, we'll be doing the presentations here this evening, recognising the outstanding efforts of these riders as we make our way through this competition. Of course, as we said earlier on this evening, a lot of these time trials, and then we'll move into the scratch races for both the women and the men. You'll see a lot of fireworks with some great endurance riders lining up for those particular events.
So Zach Williams, Tom Sexton getting themselves onto the track, getting ready. Tom Sexton was from Southland, again another rider who was in great form last night in those teens pursuits, up against Zach Williams. Now Zach Williams, can he produce what he did when he produced that New Zealand all-comers record 2017 at the Oceania Championships, 1:00.44. He had a big ride this morning on the front of the tandem, and that uses a lot of energy. Tom Sexton, Zach Williams. Zach Williams, of course, winner of the very famous Austral Wheel Race in Melbourne. They switched to the endurance. So he's got a bit of both going on. It'll be what that tandem ride has taken out of him, but he is capable of riding a 1-minute ride. Can he produce it tonight? Tom Sexton, what's he going to be able to do over the kilometre time trial? He's been in good form. He's been doing plenty on the road, plenty of training on the track with his teammates. So Zach Williams, he's used that sprint speed, a good opening half lap. Now he moves on to the aero bars. He'll rock and roll a little bit as he puts everything into it. Tom Sexton, those travelling very well. Tom Sexton, we know, will bring it home, so it's going to be who fades the most, 51.3. Zach Williams is going to go through the 500, the halfway, 33, so he's looking pretty good from the standing start now. Can he keep it going? Can he bring it home in that 1 minute? He's done it before. Tom Sexton starting to challenge him in the closing stages, the 1,000-metre time trial. Zach Williams, he's putting everything on the line. He's travelling, he's building his speed. He hasn't faded. Now it's going to hurt. Remember, he was the sprinter, so the last 250 metres. Zach Williams hanging on nicely. What's he going to be able to stop the clock on as he comes around into the home straight? He goes across the line. 3rd place, 102.129.
So another couple of very good times here on the SLIT Zero Fees Velodrome with a 102.129 for Williams into 3rd position. Sexton with a 103.117 to finish into 7th. Well, I think only just the one remaining heat to make its way to the line here in a few moments' time. So these riders have given it their all. Now they just have to wait and sit back and see how the final standings will shape up. The two next riders should be coming up onto the line will be Kirkazoo and Stewart. Another couple of riders from the endurance squads. More than used to these sorts of distances, the short, sharp bursts. So there, the camera shot there with Campbell Stewart. So the traditional colours of his West Coast North Island, of course, one of those riders that we've seen time and time again over the years, coming through from the junior ranks. The under-15s are right through now into the senior titles, and of course has picked up some real titles along the way, both as a senior rider as well as in the junior ranks.
Well, and plenty of riders, Gillian, travelling nicely tonight. Of course, Corbin Strong, personal best. Scott, a personal best as well. Hugo Jones, a personal best. Regan Goff, a personal best. So you can't ask for more than that. You come to a national championships, you've done the hard work, you produce a personal best time. You can't ask for any more. Coaches will be delighted with those efforts, seeing those PBs appear. And Zach Williams, you know, that 102, that tandem ride this morning, remember he rode 1,000 metres on the tandem this morning. That certainly hurt his legs, and he still showed great form to do that. 102.129. PB rides.
Outstanding to see those personal bests, Dow. Absolutely showing the coaching staff will be very happy things are tracking well. Of course, all targeting towards Tokyo as our see two riders here that are keen to get there. That is Kirkazoo, of course, the Oceania champion also for this distance. Nick Kirkazoo of Southland up against Campbell Stewart's. Out of the blocks they go. Look at the power of the man. Kyrgyzstan loves these kilos. He's also entered himself in the sprints for this championship as well. So we'll see how that sort of transpires as he blasts out of the blocks there. The two teammates, Campbell Stewart got the faster of the starts though. He's a very quick man indeed. Won a number of stages in the Tour of Southland, so he also knows how to ride on the road as the two power into it. Kyrgyzstan, oh, Campbell Stewart does a slide on the track. Comes on down, so they're going to watch it here with Kyrgyzstan just continues on. The crowd gives him plenty of support. Campbell Stewart there, it looks like he's back up and looking okay, so they'll give him a breather and bring him back out. Meanwhile, it is Kyrgyzstan who is powering into it. The Oceania champion, he's taken out the national title in this. Can he take it out once again? He's sitting there at the moment. The split's not really giving us a clear indication, of course, with the sliding of the riders. We'll have to wait for it to come up on the board as the crowd goes for him here as he comes into the finishing straight. The man from Southland, Kyrgyzstan, goes through 1:00.833. Kyrgyzstan, the first man to hit the 1 minute mark. An outstanding looking time. We'll wait for it to be all confirmed, but it looks like he's put himself firmly at the top of the leaders board. Folks, would you put your hands together for Nick Kyrgyzstan? Well, that was an impressive ride to say the least, to get that 1 minute flat, Dow, and to avoid also Campbell sliding off the track there. Pleased to see him get up pretty quickly there, so hopefully he'll be able to come back out and contest the rest of the events here. But Kyrgyzstan, Oceania champion, he's taken out the national title in the past. Has he just put himself at the top of the leaders board to take out it again in 2021?
Well, without a doubt, a fantastic performance from Nick Kyrgyzstan. Anytime you can ride 1 minute flat from a standing start over 1,000 metres, that's 60 kilometres an hour. Now, just next time you're at the lights, get into it. If you don't go over the 50, but see how long it takes you to get to 50. It's not easy to do. And these guys, he got the slightly slow in the first lap, got that big gear going. Really impressive performance. He's a rider I'd really love to see attack the team sprint and ride wheel 3, because the speed he's got, if he just could hone that a little bit more, take that endurance focus. Wow, he's such a weapon, and a brilliant performance. He'll be delighted with that. Of course, the fish will be happy as well, because he's a big fisherman. They'll be a little bit safer over this weekend while he's down here in Southland. But good performance, a great way to see the kilometre time trial. Great to have it back on the program in the traditional format of one ride and 1 minute flat. 1 minute .863 was the fastest time. We'll see if Campbell Stewart's going to come back onto the track. Of course, he may decide to just go and start the recovery. Nick Kyrgyzstan sitting top of the leaderboard, 1 minute flat. Josh Scott, Regan Goff with personal bests, as we mentioned, sitting in second and third place. Zach Williams, Hugo Jones, Corbin Strong, Tom Sexton in eighth, 103. Well, it wasn't that many years ago that 103 would have cleaned up a national title. It would have placed you in a number of world events. Not anymore. You've got to ride 1 minute to medal at the national championships.
Yeah, and Kyrgyzstan was one of those riders I mentioned earlier on that was discussing with them the conditions over the last couple of days, and he was very excited by the very warm conditions down here in the deep south. He'd been down here, of course, with his national squad members doing the training. They've done their trials over the last couple of days. He knew how hot this was running and how the legs were feeling. And as you said, Dal, it would be great to see the opportunity for him to ride in that team sprint with the sort of power that he brings to the events, and that, and of course that sprinting ability that he has there. It would certainly make for a very interesting combination to see what he could bring at home, and particularly in third wheel. Of course, he's been started for a number of times for the team's pursuit. And of course, he's going to be in action when it comes to the likes of the scratch race later on this evening, so they'll be very wary of him. And of course, some of these riders having to back that up after that explosive effort. They'll be very much now trying to get rid of that lactic acid as quickly as they can as they build towards the end of the night's program.
A little pause in the program. Of course, we'll just wait to see if Campbell Stewart is going to come back up onto the track. Next event on the program is the under-19 men's 1,000-metre time trial. If you just joined us, welcome to our coverage live on Sky Sport Next. Dale Woodford along with Julian Einerson bringing you the action. Sean Fulton took out the elite women's 500-metre time trial. A very good performance from the Tasman rider. Seen Nick Kurgazoo ride 1 minute flat. The track might have been built in 2006, but it's always been a very fast service, and it's certainly not slowing down. Seeing the times that were produced last night by the hit out from the New Zealand national team, team's pursuit, men's and women's, both, of course, unofficially national record times, and just a few, or 1.2, I think, seconds off for the women, off the world record, and about 2 seconds for the men. So they were really delighted with the performance. National Championships always has a bit more edge to it when we're in an Olympic year, and the Olympic team is here. They'll just be fingers crossed that they've been training and racing well, so that the games will go ahead. They just keep focused and building towards them. So on track, first rider in the men's under 19 1,000 metre time trial, Xavier Fraser from Southland. And then we'll move into 2 on the track. Big field, 13 heats in total. The young Southland rider, he gets himself set, focused. They've just seen one of his heroes, the Kurgazoo, produce an outstanding performance, so he'll get a buzz from that. You'll want to do exactly the same. So a big step up for the under 19. They've come out of under 17s riding slightly shorter distances. The gears go up, the distance goes up, the feeling and what it takes to ride the kilometre, it all changes. So Fraser, three quarters of the way through his kilometre ride. Well, it really starts to hurt now. The head drops in turn 3. Comes around towards the finish. We're wanting that line to come up as soon as possible. It's a 1:15. Well, one of the real highlights today was the para-final, and we had Cameron Davis on the track producing a very good ride, and I know many watching will know Cameron from Sacred Heart College and what he's been through to come back to bike riding. Of course, one of the top under 17 riders, a serious accident, and he rode outstanding this morning in the paracycling 1,000 metre time trial, producing a PB time. Quite a considerable PB for him as well, so he was really delighted with that. Plenty of work being done on the gate. They adjust it to fit all the bikes. The next riders will be Jared Mann, Erin Cumming. Big field, great to see 13 heats in the 1,000 metre time trial. Good to see the young riders coming down, throwing themselves into nearly every event. A mix of sprinters and endurance in this one, with the 17 national sprint record holder Jackson Russell lining up, and with Zach Patterson, the and the 19 men's road race champion. So Dylan Cumming in the colours of West Coast North Island, Jared Mann. The colours of Waikato, very good young sprinter. Had a good 250 metre time trial this morning, so now he's just got to back it up. It goes a little bit further in the 1,000. So good experience for these riders to ride over the 4 laps flat out. Both riders very tidy on the bike. Dylan Cumming, Jared Mann just travelling well and top spot at the moment out on the track anyway through the 750. So through the 1,000, Jared Mann produces 108.169. Cumming 109.706. They go 1 and 2. They wind down and come in off the track. Our next heat, Auckland's Redmond Connolly, Southland Ruben Heslip. Redmond Connolly in the front straight, Heslip in the back straight. Both riders out of the start blocks, they're cleanly away. 4 laps of pain in front of them, the kilo, it hurts. Great to see a good crowd here in the Velodrome for these Vantage Windows and Doors Elite and Under 19 National Track Cycling Championships. Heat number 3 of 13. Redmond Connolly with the advantage at the moment, sitting in second position overall on the leaderboard. Connolly still travelling well in that top spot. So 106.638, 54 kilometres an hour, moves into the number 1 position. Redmond Connolly of Auckland. So the green and black of Mid-South Canterbury, it's Jackson White in the home straight. Edward Pawson in the colours of Auckland in the back straight. So Jackson White. Mid-South Canterbury, they always come well prepared. So Jackson White gets underway in his 1,000 metres. No pads out on the track in the time trial, so we often see the pads out so the riders can't duck under the racing line and down onto the Côte d'Azur from the start, and also around the bends. A little bit of a free rein, but the commissaires, the race referees, keep a little bit of an eye on that, make sure they don't take too many shortcuts. Staying as low as you can, taking the shortest distance around the track is always an advantage. Edward Pawson, just with a slight advantage at the moment. Heat 4 of 13. But Pawson's still in the top position. He's just got to hang on, try and finish this right off, and he does so with a 106.312. Jackson White, young Jackson White with a 107. So two very young riders coming into the under-19 with very good performances. And this Vantage Elite and Under-19 National Track Championships and the SIT Zero Fees Velodrome here in Invercargill. Southland people, they love their cycling. Of course, the current world champion in the points race, Corbin Strong, will be out on the track again later this evening in the scratch race. James Dunn again in the Tasman colours, and Matthew Davis, Waikato Bar Plenty. Will be the riders going in heat 5 of 13. So Tasman, with that new facility they have, got a great track program going. Proud tradition in track cycling as well. The greats coming from that region. Palachis, Millers, Roselli. And of course Robin Reed, George Jackson, Jason Craig. There's a big list. So mechanical for the man from Tasman. Davis will keep going, he's into his ride. We'll watch Matthew Davis, what can he produce over the 4 laps. You're only racing the clock in the 1,000 metre time trial. We can see his time running on the track. We're not getting the lap splits. He's looking comfortable. Holding a nice position on the track. Got the mouth open down that back straight. It's really starting to hurt. So provisionally we have him with a 109, but of course we will wait for that time to be confirmed. The results come up on our screen a little bit later. Of course, when one rider stops, it can a little bit of havoc with the timing system, but on screen 109.2 for Matthew Davis. Jonty Harris, running Shearing, will be up next. If you're wondering where Julian's gone, he's gone down into the infield for the presentations that will take place after the 1,000-metre time trial. You've just joined us on Sky Sport Next. We're getting well through the program. You saw an outstanding ride from Nick Kugazoo, 1 minute flat, 1 minute .863, and winning the Elite Men's 1,000-metre time trial. Sean Fulton, a very good ride, taking out the Elite Women's with a 34.239. Coming up on the program, we've got the Elite Women's Scratch Race, 10 kilometres. Pretty simple race to follow. First across the line, you win the race. Elite Men's Scratch Race, 15 kilometres, and what a lineup for both events. There'll be plenty of Southland, Waikato out there, a couple from Canterbury, South Canterbury and Auckland. They'll all be looking the same on the track. And the scratch races, especially for the Elite Women. Elite Men's not quite so bad. Got a good mix. Southland, Waikato, West Coast, Canterbury. So Jonty Harris, Canterbury. Getting focused. In the back straight, running Sharon's had come in, just had a word with him. Last minute instructions. So big effort from Jonty Harris as he gets his kilometre underway. Smooth out of the gates also. Sharon from Southland. So we don't read too much into that first half lap. Just know both riders are away safely. It's what they can produce. Lap 1, lap 2, particularly lap 4 that really counts in the kilometre. And Sharon getting plenty of crowd support. Jonty Harris just with the advantage in this heat at the moment. Both riders have got a bit of work to do to challenge over the last 500 metres. Running Sharon, Jonty Harris of Canterbury, Sharon of Southland. Sharon's moved up into second position. He's finishing strongly, running Sharon. Can he bring it home? He goes through the three-quarter distance and number 1, running Sharon. What is he going to be able to stop the clock in? He goes into number 1, 105.789. Well, that got the crowd cheering. Very good finish, very good last lap. Ronan Sharon, 105.789. Now he has to wait, and he has to wait a fair while. We've got 13 heats in this under 19 men's 1,000-metre time trial. So each night from 5 p.m, the coverage will be coming to you on Sky Sport Next. If you can't make it down to the SIT Zero Fees, the Velodrome here in Invercargill. So James Lanigan is getting his restart. He's on the track. Great to see Sean Fulton just going over and giving the young man some encouragement. The wheels done up tight. Just sits and waits for the countdown. The men's under 19,000 metre time trial final, heat 5 of 13. So we've actually had 6, but this is a rerun from a mechanical in his first ride. He's just got to settle in, get those lines sorted on the track, and do the best he can over the 4 laps. James Lanigan of Tasman. So 40 seconds through the 500. So only place the kilometre. The last couple of laps that can really dig in, it can really bite you. The Tasman's James Lanigan just getting into the closing stages of his ride at these national championships. The Vantage Elite and Under 19 National Track Championships coming to you from Invercargill. 1:14. So we'll go to Heat 7, they'll be coming up on the track. 2 riders, Hamish Coltman, Waikato Bar Plenty, Nicole Drew from Canterbury. Drew and Coltman, 2 very well performed young riders. We've seen them come through the under 17s into the under 19. What can they produce here this evening? There's some talent to come. Times will continue to drop. 105.789. Southland's running Sharon. Sits in the hot seat. We'll be sitting on the rollers warming down, but he's the man to beat right now. Michael Adu in the back straight. Hamish Coltman in the home straight. There's not a lot between them in the opening half lap. Adu will be happy there, second fastest time in the opening lap, so a very good start. Now he's just got to settle into the ride. Coltman though, right on his tail. Nothing between them. They're not worried about looking across the track. They're not worried about the other rider. It's producing the best time you can do in this 1,000 metre time trial. The clock is what you've got to beat. Both riders 34 through the 500. Speed's building, just over 53 kilometres an hour. Coltman moves into first position. 750, now he's just got to hang on, keep it going. He's got the mouth open down that back straight. Hamish Coltman, he's going to stop the clock with 105.581. Second position just faded a little bit. So just outside the time of Southland's Ronan Sharon. The Coltman, good ride, just not quite quick enough. We're talking hundredths of a second between the top 2 after 7 heats. Heat number 8, Auckland's Luke Blackwood. He is in the back straight. We'll be up against Kyle Atkin, Waikato Bar Plenty, who starts in the home straight. about the ride, sucking in some deep breaths. Kyle Atkin, Luke Blackwood, they know they're going to have to produce a 105. 105 and a little bit to challenge the leaders. So good start, both riders. Good opening half lap now, both onto the aero bars. Sitting third and fourth on the leaderboard after the first 250 metres of the 1,000-metre journey. Luke Blackwood. Kyle Atkin, Blackwood travelling well, moving into his ride, goes through the 500 in second position, second and third respectively. So they're in the hunt. They're in the hunt for the medals. They've just got to be able to keep it together over the final 500. Blackwood's knocking on the door, travelling at 53.1 kilometres an hour. Luke Blackwood moves into the top spot through the three-quarter distance. So Luke Blackwood, can he keep it together in the closing lap? What's he going to be able to produce? He does with a 1.5343. A very good ride, Luke Blackwood. 55.093 kilometres an hour. He should be happy with that. Goes to the number one spot. Nine riders to come. In this under 19 men's 1,000-metre time trial. Big field. Heat number 9 will be Oliver Watson-Palmer from Waikato and Joel Douglas of Auckland. Two names we've talked about plenty of times through the under 17s. Watson-Palmer, Joel Douglas. Now they've got a load on the line, 4 laps of the track. Joel Douglas in the red Cervelo. In the back straight, Oliver Watson-Palmer. The colours of Waikato in the front straight. Counts down, you can see his head nod, going to the beat. Both riders are away safely. Now they've got to get the big gear wound up. What have they chosen? Has they got the right gear for the 1,000 metres? So solid starts. Both riders have got plenty of work to do to get start knocking on that 105. 1,000 metres in the time trial. You do have time to do it. You can come back. Oliver Watson-Palmer moves up into 5th. He's moved into the 3rd position, so he's travelling well, Oliver Watson-Palmer. He's just got to keep building on the ride, keeping it together into 2nd position. So Oliver Watson-Palmer, 105.475. That takes him to number 2. So 105. Handful of riders in there being separated by hundredths of a second. Well, there's some real power in the tail of the field still to come. Jack Carswell, Zach Patterson, and Mikhail Van Hennigan, Ryan McLeod, Ko Lart. Next heat, heat number 10. Jonathan Fish and Jackson Russell. Jackson Russell, the under-17 national record holder for the 200-metre sprint time trial. Jonathan Fish, Mid-South Canterbury, also a real speedster. These two have done battle, numerous races in their young careers. But today, they're battling each other on the track side by side, but it's really about the time. They know 105. Jonathan Fish, Mid-South Canterbury, Jackson Russell. So a little bit different styles at the start. Jackson Russell ducked down onto the Côte d'Azur. Both still out of the saddle. Russell's off to a flyer through the first half lap. Now he's just got to keep building, hold it all together over 4. He's gone through the 2:15, 19.7. That's a pretty slick opening lap for the kilometre. Jackson Russell looking tidy. He's got great leg speed. He's got to hold it. Jonathan Fish though. Jonathan Fish now moves in front. This is a battle royal. Two young men, Jonathan Fish, Mid-South Canterbury, Jackson Russell. Fish still with the advantage. They go through the 750 metres. Still Fish, 48.993 in the number 1 spot. Russell sitting second. Who's going to hold it together the best over the closing lap of the track? Jonathan Fish still with the advantage. Mid-South Canterbury's Jonathan Fish comes down. He's going to stop the clock. 104. 104.570. Very good ride, the first man to go under 1.5. Good ride from young Jackson Russell. Also, he produced a 105.531. Mid-South Canterbury's Jonathan Fish has to sit while he's warming down on the rollers. He will be able to watch. Has he done enough to take out the under-19 men's 1,000-metre time trial? .104. 570. Tasman Kao Lart is the next rider up on the track. Of course, until Jackson Russell took it off him, he was the under-17 national record holder for the 200 metres. Very good sprinter, but doesn't mind jumping into everything in the endurance events. So he'll have a good start. It's whether he'll be able to keep it together in those last 250 metres of the track. He's got the big chain ring on the front. Straps are done up, he's set. Kaola bursts out of the gates, shoulders pointed high, hips forward. He wants to get on top of that gear as soon as possible. That's the hard bit through turn 1. Come out of turn 2, stays out of the saddle down the back straight. Kaola of Tasman sits down at turn 3. So 19 for a good opening lap, as that's what we'd expect from Kaola. Sitting nice on the bike, good lines, just moves up a little bit, wanders around and out of turn 3, coming back into turn 4. Kaola through the 500, 33.755, still top. So for the sprinters, he'll be good through after the 750. It's what he can do in that last little bit of the race, the last lap of the track. That's what's going to tell for Kaola, but he's keeping together, head just dips a little. Still sitting top at the 750 metre mark. Kaola travelling down the back, looking extremely good on the bike at the moment. Well, he's just slipped into second position, so Kaolart's going to feel it in the last 100. Kaolart comes home, second place, 105.014. So Tasman's Kaolart second on the leaderboard. With 4 riders still to come, it's going to be tight for the medals. Well, what an opening 3 laps from Kao Lart. So Mid-South Canterbury's Jonathan Fish with 104.570 sits top of the leaderboard, and it's pretty tight for the miners behind him, hundredths of seconds separating the other riders. Canterbury's Ryan McLeod will start this heat number 12 of 13 in the front straight. Mikhail Van Hennigan will be in the back straight. Cal getting instructions from his coach, and then Hamish Ferguson, Ryan McLeod chatting to him. Ryan McLeod, this guy has got some toe. He doesn't know when to slow down. He'll enjoy the kilometre. He'll be looking, it'll be about the start, what he can do over the first 2 laps, because he'll finish strongly, Ryan McLeod. Van Hennigan, another rider who performed outstandingly through the under-17s, stepping up into the under-19s. He's got a big gear on, Ryan McLeod. Tall figure of Mikhail Van Hennigan. Also, really decent sized gear, still out of the seat, winding it up. You can look at the positions through the first half lap to know the size of the gear they've got on. They've both got plenty of work to do after the first 250. They'll come round to the halfway. Have they been able to build into the right enough? They're both a little way off the pace at the moment in 8th and 12th position, but we're talking it's tight between the top riders. So these boys are both strong. They'll both finish really strongly, but the start could be costly for them. Ryan McLeod, he's moved up into 4th position. Ryan McLeod. Mikhail Van Hennigan still got a lot to do out there on the track. McLeod, though, just winding up, getting faster. He's up into 3rd position. Then he just overgear a little bit. He goes to the top with 104.406. Ryan McLeod. Well, he left it late, but he finished it off over the last 150 metres. Ryan McLeod of Canterbury, 55.894 kilometres an hour, sits top with 1 heat to come. The final heat in the under-19 men's 1,000-metre time trial. 2 riders have produced 104. Ryan McLeod and Jonathan Fish. Zach Patterson and Jack Carswell, the final 2 riders to come up onto the track. Zach Patterson was impressive in winning the under-19 men's road race. Graham Hunt said last night it was one of the most exciting races he's seen. It was a sprint finish that Zach Patterson won that. Jack Carswell also medaling at the National Road Championships. I've seen the time, 104.406. Zach Patterson. Now shot, thinking about the ride. In the home straight, Jack Carswell over in the back straight. Oh, a lot of effort going in from both. It's an equal amount of effort over the first 100 metres. What are they going to get through the first 125 in? They both got big gears on. Patterson in 7th position on the leaderboard after the first half lap. It doesn't really matter. You know you're there or thereabouts. He moves into 4th quickly at the 250. Carswell's still got a fair bit of work to do to bring himself up. Patterson quickly up into 2nd place at the 375. So a strong start. He's a strong boy too. He won't slow down unless he's just gone down that little bit too hard in the opening. Zach Patterson, Jack Carswell though coming right into the ride. Patterson 2nd on the leaderboard. Carswell's up into 4th, so Carswell's really going to start to come home at 750, done on the 1 and 3. Patterson, can he hold it together over the final lap of the track? Zach Patterson, Jack Carswell, 1 and 2, 56, 153 of a second between them. Zach Patterson comes down, he stops the clock. What's he going to stop it in? Carswell's finished it off with a 103.667. 103.667 for Jack Carswell. Well, he had the slowest start, but he rocketed home to pip Zach Patterson, and very good ride, 103.723. So Jack Carswell, fantastic performance. A 103.667 to take out. Of course, provisionally, we'll wait till the results are all confirmed. So 103 just outside the championship record of Jackson Ogle, which was 102.411, set in 2017 here in Invercargill. But 103, there we go, we can confirm 2 103 rides. Look at that, nothing between Jack Carswell, Zach Patterson, Ryan McLeod, Jonathan Fish, Kola, Luke Blackwood, Oliver Watson Palmer, and Jackson Russell rounding out the top 8. So outstanding performances in the time trial events here on the opening night, day 1, session 2 of the Vantage Windows and Doors Elite and Under 19 National Track Championships.
Ladies and gentlemen, the awards ceremony for the 2021 Vantage Elite and Under-19 Track Championships Women's Elite 500 metre time trial championship will now take place. The medals will be presented by Renee Wolfe from the Cycling New Zealand head sprint coach. In third place and winner of the bronze medal, representing Waikato Bay of Plenty, Olivia King. In second place and winner of the silver medal, representing Waikato Bay of Plenty, Elise Andrews. In first place, the winner of the gold medal and the 2021 Elite Women's 500 metre time trial national champion, representing Tasman, Sian Fulton. Ladies and gentlemen, please show your appreciation for the place getters in the 2021 Vantage Elite Under-19 Track National Championships. Ladies and gentlemen, the awards ceremony for the 2021 Vantage Elite Under-19 Track National Championships Women's Under-19 500 metre time trial will now take place. The medals once again will be presented by Renee Wolfe, Cycling New Zealand head sprint coach. In third place and winner of the bronze medal, representing Waikato Bay of Plenty, Sophie de Vries. In second place and winner of the silver medal, representing Canterbury, Jenna Borthwick. In first place, the winner of the gold medal and the 2021 Under-19 Women's 500 metre time trial national champion, representing Canterbury, Amelia Sykes. Ladies and gentlemen, please show your appreciation for the place getters in the 2021 Vantage Elite and Under-19 Track National Championships. Ladies and gentlemen, the awards ceremony for the 2021 Vantage Elite and Under-19 Track National Championships Men's Elite 1000 metre time trial will now take place. The medals will be presented by Renee Wolfe, Cycling New Zealand head sprint coach. In third place and winner of the bronze medal, representing the East Coast North Island, Regan Goff. In second place and winner of the silver medal, representing Canterbury, Josh Scott. In first place, the winner of the gold medal and the 2021 Elite Men's 1000 metre time trial national champion, representing Southland, Nick Kirkazoo. And the champion to receive the BSA trophy. Ladies and gentlemen, please show your appreciation for the place getters in the 2021 Vantage Elite Under-19 Track National Championships. Ladies and gentlemen, the awards ceremony for the 2021 Vantage Elite and Under-19 Track National Championships Men's Under-19 1,000-metre time trial will now take place. The medals will once again be presented by Renee Wolfe, Cycling New Zealand head sprint coach. In third place and winner of the bronze medal, representing Canterbury, Ryan McLeod. In second place and winner of the silver medal, representing Waikato Bay of Plenty, Zach Patterson. In first place, the winner of the gold medal and the 2021 Under-19 Men's 1,000-metre time trial national champion, representing Waikato Bay of Plenty, Jack Carswell. And the champion to receive the John Holloway Memorial Challenge Trophy. Ladies and gentlemen, please show your appreciation for the place getters in the 2021 Vantage Elite and Under-19 Track National Championships. We'll now take a moment to recognise two special athletes here for some special awards from 2020. The Cycling New Zealand Road and Track Junior Female Track Cyclist of the Year for 2020. The trophy to be presented by Erin Downey, the Vice President of Cycling New Zealand and Track and Road. The winner for 2020, Jenna Borthwick. Jenna being recognised for a consistency of performance at the highest level during the 2020 domestic season, rightfully sees Jenna taking out the award as Junior Female Cyclist of the Year. Ladies and gentlemen, would you put your hands together for the Junior Female Track Cyclist of the Year, Jenna Borthwick of Canterbury. The presentation now of the Cycling New Zealand Road and Track 2020 Female Track Cyclist of the Year will take part. Presented by Erin Downey, Vice President of the Cycling New Zealand Road and Track. The 2020 recipient, Elise Andrews. Elise qualifying for the final of the Women's Keirin and taking a strong 5th place, capped off by fine World Championships for Elise, a year in which you saw her selected for the Tokyo team. Ladies and gentlemen, would you put your hands together for Elise Andrews? Well, ladies and gentlemen, in a few moments' time, we're about to talk to some of the winners here from the last few events. And our first one here today, of course, is Sian Fulton, the winner of the Women's Elites 500-metre time trial championship. Well, Sian, congratulations. A great way to start the championship.
Yeah, thank you. Real nice to just get out there and have a good hit out and just see what the legs said I've got in the legs over the last year of training, yeah.
Of course, coming into a championship, you riders all know your numbers, you know what the training's been like, but I guess it's not till you really actually get out there in competition mode that the realisation comes to fore.
Yeah, I guess, like, you just have to trust the process and, like, yeah, you never know, but you can just only hope that you bring out a good performance on the day, yeah.
Well, congratulations once again. We look forward to seeing you in the championship later on. Folks, would you put your hands together for Sian Fulton? So, ladies and gentlemen, we now have the winner of the Women's Under-19 500-metre time trial, Amelia Sykes of Canterbury. Well, congratulations, Amelia. A great start to the championship for you.
Yes, thank you so much. Yeah, it was an awesome start. I'm looking forward to the rest of the week.
So let's talk a little bit about the rest of the week. You've got a big program ahead of you.
Yeah, quite a big program for me, yeah.
So what specifically sort of events have you got targeted here?
IP and the 500 was what I was really keen to give a good crack at too, but mainly the IP, yeah.
And how much does this boost the confidence coming into when taking that win out on the first night?
Oh, it's awesome. Like, just awesome, yeah.
Well, congratulations, folks. Would you put your hands together for Amelia Sykes? So joining us here for the men's elite 1,000 metre time trial is the local man, Nick Kirkazoo. Well, Nick, congratulations on a fantastic effort. How important is it to be able to do this in front of a home crowd?
Yeah, real awesome. You know, the time probably wasn't what I wanted to do, but to get the national jersey was the main objective and, you know, hit that, so pretty happy.
You feel a bit of pressure coming into an event like this. You've taken the title out before, Oceania champion, and of course you're a bit of an endurance man, so the sprinters must be getting a bit nervous.
Yeah, get a bit of pressure. Today, yeah, I just felt a bit of pressure with the TPs yesterday. Legs are a bit sore, but I knew I had it in the legs with a couple of trials we did a couple of weeks back, so yeah, that had a bit of confidence in the back of the head.
Well, congratulations on your efforts, and of course we'll let you get ready now. You've got the scratch race later this evening. Do we expect to see Kirkazoo at the front?
I'll be sucking Gaddy's wheel and Campbell Stewart, I think, so yeah.
Folks, would you put your hands together for Nick Kirkazoo of Southlands? So joining me now is under 19,000 metre time trial champion. And of course, it's Jack Carswell from Waikato Bay of Plenty. Well, Jack, a fantastic start to the championship for you. And of course, you've got a lot of events on the cards.
Yeah, I'm super excited for the rest of the events. I was mainly planning on using today's race as a warm-up, but turned out well, so really happy with how it went. Looking forward to the rest of the racing.
So for you, what specific events have you got left to target?
For me, I really want to do a good time in the individual pursuit, and then the points race and the scratch race, the two other events I'm doing, I'm hoping to get in the mix for those as well.
And of course, the times that we saw set here tonight, there's been a lot of talk about the fantastic conditions. Obviously, that played in the hands for you guys.
Yeah, definitely. The conditions were super awesome, and it's awesome to be able to do it in such a good track with all the awesome supporters and coaches and everything helping out. Yeah.
Well, congratulations on your effort here tonight. We look forward to seeing you over the next few days. Folks, would you put your hands together for Waikato Bay of Plenty's Jack Carswell?
So event 13 coming up on the program, the Elite Women's Scratch Race, 10 kilometres, pretty straightforward event, 40 laps of the track, first rider across the line will win. So we see them lining up, Olivia Ray's in the colours of Auckland, so easy to pick out. Number 21, Mackenzie Milne, this is Ronnie Bortha. So the field will run through them. Olivia Ray, Erin Downey, Samantha Donnelly, Holly Edmondson. She'll be in the green and black of Mid-South Canterbury. Emily Patterson, Nicole Shields, Riley McMillan, Tyler Green, Ronnie Bortha, Courtney Kin, Hannah Quinlan, Jessie Hodges, Mackenzie Milne, Maya Anderson. The gun goes. They are underway, the 10 kilometre scratch race. So we'll see what sort of race we're going to have. If it's 40 laps, is it going to be aggressive, or are they going to sit back, wait for the sprint? Olivia Ray was in great form, National Criterium champion. She was in great form at the Cambridge 3-day a couple of months ago. Mackenzie Milne on the front, always aggressive, looking to get things going. So they'll have to keep an eye on her. Holly Edmondson sits there, number 4 in the green black, the black helmet. Scan back through the field and we have a look at the riders. We'll pick them out. Of course, a lot from Southland, a lot from Waikato Bay of Plenty. Edmondson has a wee look over her shoulder. Olivia Ray sits towards the back. Expect the tall figure of Riley McMillan there in second position to also be aggressive. Milne back on the front. So a lot of support already for the crowd, for these riders. A bit of cheering. They've already picked out their favourites. So Olivia Ray moves to the top of the track, infield. Some of the riders just settling in at the back. Holly Edmondson sits midfield, just keeping an eye on things. So pace is being kept pretty high at the moment, just to discourage any real attacks. Of course, a long way to go. 40 laps of the track, 34 next time past, 33 next time past the start-finish line. Ronnie Bortha, Milne's back on the front. Courtney King, Tyler Green, Riley McMillan, Nicole Shields. Nicole Shields will be playing the patience game. She doesn't mind just waiting. Edmondson moves just a little bit further back, so hasn't swung up. Olivia Ray does the same. Besides that, she doesn't want to take the front, so moves up. So one or two riders just sitting in and out of the slipstream and moving up just to reposition themselves. They'll have their riders they want to follow, they want to pick. So Edmondson goes through, moves up to the top of the banking. Sammy Donnelly in the colours of Canterbury. Riley McMillan takes over down the back. Anna Quinlan moves up. She's the Waikato rider, the long ponytail out the back. Olivia Ray sits mid. So early stages of the race, the riders just testing each other out. 31 laps of the 40, 31 to go in the 10 kilometre scratch race. The Vantage windows and doors Elite Women's Scratch Race Final. And there's a lot of riders want to win this one. It's a pretty easy race to follow. You've just got to cross the line first. Anna Quinlan moves up. Nicole Shields just has a wee sneaky look. Emily Patterson as well moves up. Olivia Ray decides, well, we'll just open the legs a little bit, just test some of the riders. So Olivia Ray, always the aggressor, moves off the front. McMillan swings up the track. No one wanted to chase. Maya Anderson goes through. She'll go, well, I'll go after her. I don't mind. Putting my head down a little bit, Maya Anderson. Olivia Ray has gone on the attack, and the Auckland rider out front, the national Criterion champion, has a look over his shoulder just to see who's chasing, sees that they're going after it, so he moves up, swings up the banking. Olivia Ray settles back down. Holly Edmondson decides to keep the pace out reasonably high. So Ray has a look, comes down, doesn't want to go too far back. You can see her drop down, just looking for a little bit of a gap. So a lot of the experienced riders, there's the gap opening, so she'll slot into that. It's exactly what Olivia Ray wants. You never want to get caught right at the back in the scratch race, but the gap didn't open, so she drifts back through the field. So moving to the front of the race, Nicole Shields, Southland rider. Riley McMillan, a teammate, takes over, so they may have a little bit of a plan. Nicole Shields would start this race as one of the pre-race favourites. Maya Anderson swings up, being tracked. So a few riders still wanting to keep their nose out of the wind in this early stages. 25 to go when they come past the start-finish line. Edmondson moves up. This is the scratch race. First rider across the line. So who's going to attack? Who's going to really try and rip it up? This is no Rushley Buchanan here, always the aggressor in these sorts of races. Doesn't want to wait for the sprint finish, but of course coming back from that shoulder injury that she sustained in the Cambridge 3-day. Mackenzie Milne, she won't wait for the sprint finish. At some stage she'll light it up. Very good individual pursuiter. Maya Anderson moves up the track. Then we see Olivia Ray, Jessie Hodges. Shields moves up, Patterson as well, just sitting there, looking comfortable. The riders just testing each other, looking at each other, keeping the pace nice and steady. Ronnie Bortha down the back, moves up. Also another rider to keep an eye on. You don't want to give her too many metres on the track, give her 10, she'll take 50. Mackenzie Milne wants to wind the pace up. Riley McMillan's always aggressive, but moves up the track. Short turn, Olivia Ray sitting midfield. Holly Edmondson a little bit further back in the green and black of Mid-South Canterbury. Great to see Holly Edmondson coming back to some real top form. She was in great form at the Cambridge round of the World Cup after pretty horror year of injuries, similar to Emma Cumming, our sprint rider, coming back to top form. She moved to the top of the track, so decided to position herself more towards the back as Bronnie Borther takes over on the front. Bronnie Borther, Riley McMullen swings up as well. Olivia Ray moves up into second position. Olivia Ray. So Holly Edmondson just sitting back off the wheels a bit at the moment, just sorting out who she wants to follow. She decides Bronnie Borther is the wheel, so they all swing up the track, sit above the motor pace line. Edmondson finds herself in second position, so a little bit of a reshuffle. That'll be Sammy, Donnelly, Erin Downey, Samantha Donnelly sitting in there in the colours of Canterbury. There we go, a little bit of a move coming. So the first of the gaps that start to open, they'll be closed pretty quickly though. Bronnie Borther just putting the gas on. That's going to hurt one or two riders. We see the Canterbury rider swing up. Holly Edmondson swings up as well. So they're trying to really pick it up. They'll come to 17 laps on the board when they come past the start finish. Holly Edmondson on the front, Bronnie Borther. She goes through. Riley McMullen sitting there, just back a little bit, trying to close the gap. The pressure is really on right now. Holly Edmondson. Bronnie Borther's just, this is a big turn, just winding it up, keeping this pace high, splitting the field. Has anyone been able to, as the elastic snapped, one or two off the back? Where's Olivia Ray? She's tucked onto the back of the group. So we have 6-7 riders in that front group, 15 to go. So a big turn from Bronnie Borther. Julian, she's really opened this race up. Riley McMullen, now Mackenzie Milne decides to keep it going, and Olivia Ray follows her up the track.
Yeah, certainly done some damage all right. And of course, a few of these centres have got multiple riders in here, giving them plenty of opportunities to play their cards. And of course, likes of Edmondson there, the only Mid-South Canterbury rider, has to keep a very close eye on that and has to make the decisions, as you often have to do, very instantly to decide if this is the move that's going to make the break here. So a few of the teams here dropping a few of their teammates further back, but positioning a few of them in the forefront of the race here as we start to settle into the closing stages.
So they come past 13 to go on the board, and plenty, no real big attacks, but the pace is high and it's hard to attack when it's high. Holly Edmondson riding a very clever race. Bronnie Borther goes through to the front. Edmondson, Olivia Ray, Riley McMullen, a little bit of a gap back. I think that'll be Erin Downey. Just confirm that when she comes past us on the screen. Erin Downey, I think, is the Canterbury rider sitting in there. So Riley McMullen decides, well, let's just test the riders again. Let's see if they've recovered after that big effort. So Riley McMullen from Southland moves up the track. They've gone a couple of bike lengths clear. Riley McMullen, Emily Patterson.
Yeah, they've opened up a decent sort of a gap here, and it's got the rest of that field starting to react. Of course, a few of the teammates here of Waikato and Southland, so they won't be doing the chasing, as Maya Anderson goes with McMullen onto the front here. They've got a little bit of a gap, just stretching them out here, but Ray from Auckland makes herself available at the front once again. She's got both, they're also up there with it, so they're keeping a very close eye on it, but as you can see, the field is disintegrating with all the pressure, but all of a sudden, we've turned off the on switch and we've headed up towards the fence line. Now that will allow a few of these riders to get themselves back into contention here and potentially try and take the bunch kick.
Pretty interesting. Olivia Ray, Holly Edmondson, both very inattentive, close the gaps when they need to. Watching. Now it's bunching up. 8 to go. 2,000 metres left of the 10 kilometres that they're going to race. So getting into the last 2K. Olivia Ray having a look around. The other riders, as Julian said, have come back into contention with the easing of the pace. Now we see an attack coming around the top of the track, and it's a big attack from Bronnie Borther as well. Now, as I said, you don't want to let her get a metre. Holly Edmondson straight onto her. Edmondson going after her. So Bronnie Borther's put her head down. Holly Edmondson tucks onto the back wheel. Bronnie Borther doesn't even look. Now she does, has a look, sees her. Well, a national teammate, but this time they're competing against each other. Holly Edmondson takes over. They'll come round at 6 laps to go in this journey. Edmondson. So Ray gets across as well. Olivia Ray sitting there on fourth wheel, so 4 riders. Riley McMullen trying to get up and make it 5. So 5 riders left in the race with 6 laps to go. They'll come 5. As they'll come past the finish line, it'll be 5 on the board. They all have a look. They swing up the track. Riley McMullen rejoins. So we have 2 from Waikato, Mid-South Canterbury, Auckland. Waikato represented down the back straight.
And possibly another Waikato rider getting themselves up there as well to make it a group of 6. Now this could be interesting. 3 from the same centre now. Will one of them commit to try and lead out the others? They'll have their team plan in action here. This is a dangerous time here as the pressure's on, then all of a sudden it switches off. You can see a rider just roll off the banking, take advantage without having to put a lot of effort in, but they're busy looking at each other. It's like a bit of a 2-up sprint for a few of them as the heads start to swivel.
3 to go, so now they're watching. Ronnie Bortha, she'll probably want to launch another attack. Olivia Ray, Holly Edmondson just covering and keeping an eye on everything. Bortha on the sits there getting ready to launch. Olivia Ray, Riley McMillan, Mackenzie Milne tucked on the back. Now be Mackenzie, when is she going to have a go? She loves going with like 1.5, sometimes 2 to go. They come around, they will get 2 next time past the start finish.
And Hodges in the mix there at the front of the group. She's been given the job of the motorbike here for the Waikato Bay of Plenty group. That's number 20, just rolling it through. Ray tucked onto her wheel. The Southlander sneaks on underneath here. They don't want to ease it off too much here because there's a big group still chasing as we approach 250 metres, and there's a move on the front.
Yeah, Mackenzie Milne, well, when you should launch the attack, Mackenzie Milne's gone down the bank. Look at the speed of Olivia Ray going to go across to Mackenzie Milne. Mackenzie Milne's got the bit between her teeth. Here comes Olivia Ray. The pocket rocket, the national criterium champion, is now the 10-kilometre scratch race champion. What a ride. Well, Mackenzie Milne, she knew what she had to do. Brilliant performance. As she comes around, Olivia Ray, give her a big round of applause. What a performance.
An outstanding effort from the Aucklander, who continues to show why she is one of the strongest contenders both on the road and the track here over the last few months, taking out Criterium Championships, major road races, and now adding this to her resume. A fantastic effort indeed, and a great sprint finish there amongst the top contenders in this women's event. Folks, would you put your hands together for all the riders contesting the scratch race here today on day 1 of the championship.
Well, really good, aggressive race, the 10-kilometre scratch race. We still have one more to come, the men's 15,000 metre, and that's going to be lightning quick as well. Fifteen kilometres, 15,000 metres, 60 laps of the track. One sprint, that's the one at the end, that's what counts, but the women's race was fast. This is just going to go up a notch. We've seen some riders produce some fantastic kilometre times. Had a great evening on this opening session, day 1 of the Vantage Windows and Doors Elite and Under 19 National Track Championships. We're coming to you from the SIT Zero Fees Velodrome in Invercargill. Dale Woodford and Julian Dean been calling the action here in the stadium and on Sky Sport Next. Big thanks to everybody who's been watching, sending in their comments. I'm pleased you're enjoying the coverage and the riding. It's been some great racing, and there's plenty more to come over the next few days as we see Olivia Ray. And of course, family back in Auckland, brother Alex will be happy with that. And she wipes the sweat away. The men just rolling around the infield, and they will be making their way up onto the track. We'll just run through the starters for you. Aaron Gate, Hugo Jones, Josh Scott, Regan Goff, Corbin Strong, Hamish Keast, Jacob Willis, Lewis Hodkinson, Mark Stewart riding for Southland, of course the man from Scotland and the Commonwealth Games scratch race champion, Nicholas Kugazoo, Tom Sexton, Daniel Bridgewater, Kean Watts, Zach Williams, Campbell Stewart, Kane Croup, George Jackson. This is a big lineup. It's a strong lineup. There's some form riders. We've seen some of them in the kilo. Corbin Strong will want to perform tonight. Julian Einarson in front of his home crowd.
Oh, absolutely. I think putting those local colours on, be able to represent his centre. And we've already seen him in action, of course, in the kilo tonight, which is going to be an interesting one, just watching that women's race, how some of the riders could back it up from doing their time trial earlier on. Those were just struggling a little bit early in the piece there before the legs sort of came right. But, of course, for these guys, they've done that 1,000-metre effort, which wasn't that long ago. Doesn't sound like a lot, but certainly on the types of gearings that they're riding, it takes the sting out of the legs here. So some of them will come in with a different plan than usual, by having that particular part of the racing in the program for them. So they may sit back a little bit earlier on. They certainly would have made some adjustments to their gearing once again. And they'll be crossing fingers that the body reacts the way they want it to do coming into this big event, which has got some outstanding names in here, Dal, that's for sure.
It's a great field, and there we go, just as we see the results on our screen. Olivia Ray, Mackenzie Mill, Riley McMillan, brilliant ride getting up to take the bronze medal. She'll be delighted with that. And let's just reflect a little bit on Olivia Ray. You know, there'd been a lot of people in New Zealand cycling hadn't heard of Olivia Ray to probably 6 months ago. She'd been racing in the States, racing the criteriums. Of course, Joan Kiesanowski is a big fan of her and has got her onto the rally team over there. She's a very smart rider. She made a debut on the track that I saw at the Cambridge 3-day. She was really impressive there. She came down to the National Criterium Championships. What I like about her, Julian, is she's really smart, she's really aggressive and doesn't mind covering moves herself. She doesn't wait for someone to do it for her, and that was a real masterclass performance.
I totally agreed, and I think you've just hit the nail on the head there too with the smartness of riding, because of course these riders can't be performing at absolutely the top form in every race that they appear in, but certainly when you look at the results you think that she's absolutely flying every one of those. I can guarantee she was hurt in the hurt box with a few of those races over the last number of months here, but she managed to use the smarts to position herself well, which is all important when it comes to the cycling, whether that is in the criterium, the road racing, the track racing, and being able to look after the body enough to ensure that you've got that sprint finish at the end, because typically, as we know, it will come down to either just a couple of you or a large bunch, and she seems to be quite content either way to take on the challenge.
We're coming up the final race of session 1, day number 1 of the Elite and Under-19 National Track Championships. It's been a great opening day. We've seen some fantastic performances over the opening session this morning and then again this evening. So coming up after this race, of course, earlier today in the program, and we'll remind you after the presentations, we did have the paracycling finals, their time trials. We had some brilliant performances, a number of big PBs, some world-class times as well. So coming to you on Sky Sport Next, you'll be able to reflect on what happened earlier today in those paracycling finals. Nick Blenko was one of the most impressive, I thought, in his 1,000-metre time trial. Brilliant effort. So, yeah, even though we'll be off here live with you, you'll be able to reflect on what happened in this morning's session in those paracycling finals. As the men's field makes its way up onto the track, the man in shot is in the yellow. That's Regan Goff riding in the colours of East Coast North Island. So a high quality field, of course, going to be contesting this particular event. A lot of names that have been around the sport for a little while now. A number of them up through the junior ranks, then ultimately onto the international stage. A few former world champions sitting in amongst it here as well. We'll introduce them properly as we make our way round over the 60 laps. And of course, many of these riders coming off a bit of a road campaign, taking part in the SBS Bank Tour of Southland back in November. Of course, right through to New Zealand Cycle Classic, etc., the Criterium Championships. So we know the sort of form, the sort of miles that these riders have put in to be here tonight. Of course, that mixing up of the road and the track to get that balance right as part of the endurance program, as they get their final instructions there from local commissaire Ian Denzi. And they'll roll them off very shortly here over the 60 laps. Traditionally, championships for a number of years, the final event of the championships, but they've been mixed around a fair bit over the years. This will be completing on Saturday with the points race, which of course includes the current World Points Race champion from Southland, Corbin Strong. So just getting their final checks. You'll notice they'll have their coaching staff and so forth over the back there with the spare wheels, etc., waiting for these riders, but this will be ridden at a high pace here. So there won't be any breathing space there if they do manage to have a puncture or some sort of a mechanical during it. So there'll be some quick thinking having to go on in here, Dal, and because these guys, as we know, they love to race. There'll be no mucking around amongst them. Not a bit aggressive. It'll be a very fast race. There's no doubt about that. They're on their neutral lap, so they'll come down. The starter will want to make sure they're one big group, nice and compact. There's the start field, and they're wearing number 31, Aaron Gate, Hugo Jones, Josh Scott. George Jackson's in the colours of Wellington. It's 15 kilometres or 60 laps of the track. The starter, I think he's happy. He fires the gun. We're underway in this men's Scratch race final, 15 kilometres. One of the glamour events on the track. Anywhere in the world, everyone wants to get a piece of the action and get their name to a national or world or whatever scratch race title. A lot of very popular with the crowds and really easy race to follow as well. It's pretty simple. It's like a football game. You score a goal, you'll win it. You don't have to worry about the rules too much. You cross the line first in this and you'll take away the bike race. So Aaron Gate, he's been in sensational form and he'll have a big target on his back. So will Corbin Strong, Regan Goff. Nick Kirkazoo showed what he could do in over 4 laps of the track at full gas, 1 minute, so everyone will be a little bit wary of him in the finish. Kane Croops along with Campbell Stewart in the colours of West Coast North Island. Zach Williams, who's had a pretty busy day riding the tandem this morning in the paracycling, very good kilo. He's in here, remember, he's come up from the sprint program, so a really fast finisher, and he'll be wanting to hide and try and bring it home on the last lap, as he did a few years ago to win the Austral Wheel Race.
Yes, it's a difficult one to pick, this one. Often you come into some of these races here, you've got 2, 3 sort of favourites here, but multiple favourites I would suggest in this particular one, depending of course on how they take on this race, because there will be a few in here we'll be hoping that the pressure is just steady but not too erratic there to allow them to ride in those big gears for the sprint finish, whereas others will be more than happy to potentially even take a lap, and that's the likes of your Aaron Gates. Of course, he's got the advantage of the fact he's got a reasonable, decent kick on him at the finish of a race, particularly over a long distance like that. Equally so, he's more than happy to be pursuing off the front and trying to take a lap out on the field. And we talk about form, well, Dal, as we know, Gate has been in sensational form, of course, taking out the SBS Bank Tour of Southland back in November, coming right down to the final sprint on the final day after taking 2 stages out on that tour, then carrying on to take out the Criterium Championships. He's broken the New Zealand individual pursuit record. If you haven't caught up on that fact, that's about a 4:09 now, set up in Cambridge. So this guy, as we know, he is world class and he would certainly be in the top 3 for many of the punters. So steady as she goes here for the field at this point in time. No one too keen to try and set anything alight here early on in the piece. Don't forget, of course, we're live online here as well. If you want to throw in your comments, got your questions here, even to let us know your sort of picks. Who are you going to pick here to take out this national title here today?
Well, they pick up the pace down the back. Aaron Gate, always very prominent on the front. Never too far away from the action. Corbin Strong tracking him. You can see Corbin Strong just takes over now, a nice low position on the bike, and everyone will be keeping an eye on him. He moves up to the top of the track. Kean Watts takes over. Good to see Kean Watts, another rider in very good form, and Kean often sort of ducks and dives and follows the wheels, but when you see him put his nose in front, do a lap, you know he's in tune for this as well. Campbell Stewart, another rider to watch, former world champion, double junior world champion in the Omnium, and if you can win those back-to-back, you're some sort of superstar, but there's a multiple world champions, Regan Goff, Corbin Strong, Aaron Gate, all in this race. And then there's the riders that want to take it off them, the likes of, Hamish Keese, Josh Scott, Hugo Jones, Tom Sexton, someone we haven't talked about a lot in this commentary so far, but he will be looking to perform well in front of his home crown also. Tom Sexton, another rider very good in the scratch race.
Yeah, Tommy, he loves it. He comes in positive with any race. You know what knows him there. He always loves him to come with a positive mindset and keen to rip things on up. Of course, Campbell Stewart, as you said, we know he's got an outstanding sprint on him here and would certainly be one of the key favourites coming into this particular one. He rides in the West Coast colours.
That's Mark Stewart. Mark Stewart, the Commonwealth Games champion. Been lucky to be here in New Zealand. Of course, partner of Emma Cumming, riding in the colours of Southland. Silver medal in the National Road Race Championships. And he comes into these with good form, loves the track racing as well, loves the aggressive. I like the way he rides, Mark Stewart. So everyone will be a little bit wary of him. Regan Goff in the yellow takes over then the Canterbury pairing. Scott and Jones. 1 or 2 riders moving around, just trying to pick out the wheel, but it's Indian file sort of down the back when they start to bunch up. You see the pace is just settling off a little bit. Aaron Gate doesn't like that to happen. He drops down and just tries to keep it going. Gate will do this all day.
You can see already a few riders just struggling with the surges that go on here. The gear that they've put on here makes all the difference. And again, there's a few riders here who haven't ridden the kilo, so they come in, if you like, relatively fresh. And of course, Campbell Stewart, he took that heavy fall earlier on, but he does come in here now after not having to contest that 1,000-metre time trial. So that'll certainly work to his advantage. He'll be a bit frustrated with what happened there. Would have loved to have set a time for himself here tonight. So there'll be a little bit more of an incentive coming into this particular one. But I am looking forward to seeing the likes of Jones, for example, of Canterbury, a man that we know is an up-and-comer and has set some outstanding times in the pursuiting. We saw him already earlier tonight here. We've seen him at the Canterbury Carnival back in January there, where he was starting to build up some fine form.
The Dan Bridgewater, he swung up, he's gone midfield. George Jackson, third wheel in the pictures and the colours of the Wellington centre. So George Jackson, Regan Goff has a little look over his shoulder. Josh Scott takes over down the back in the black helmet. Josh Scott, Hugo Jones, he'll be in the white helmet further back down the field. Campbell Stewart, Kane Croup in the colours of West Coast North Island. It's Kane Croup that moves up. Campbell Stewart, there he goes, just going through to the front now. The Kyrgyzoo just gets out of the seat up the banking. Kyrgyzoo, Mark Stewart looking very comfortable as well, just in there keeping an eye on things, keeping it nice and high. The pace is just gradually picking up. We've got 37 laps to go in this race. They'll come round. It'll be 36 when they cross the start-finish line.
There's a bit of a kick there from the Southlander on the front. Let's keep an eye out for Groove. He'll be the sort of man, he'll be waiting for the ease off to come as the pressure goes on. Eventually they have to ease it, and it's the likes of Groove and that will like to go for a bit of a slingshot off as the pace eases. They all start to look at each other. So constantly the riders have got to make some quick decisions whether or not to follow a move or not here as the race progresses here, because as we said, this is certainly the type of race where we could see an individual or a group indeed take a lap out on the field here, particularly at these high pace at the moment, putting a lot of pressure on the majority of the field.
Well, it's hard to get a lap when they're travelling at this sort of speed, but there's certainly some riders starting to feel the pressure being applied. Corbin Strong down the back, moves up the track. Dan Bridgewater's looking pretty comfortable. He also moves up. George Jackson, so some of the boys just go, well, we just need to settle this down a little bit. I can't go full gas. I still got 34 laps to go, so we're almost halfway through this race. They are travelling quick, so it's hard to get away at this sort of speed. You sit there in the stands, you're sitting there at home, you go, it doesn't look too bad, it looks pretty comfortable. They're travelling at around 55, 57 kilometres an hour. Every now and again it'll back off a little bit. Nick Kyrgyzoo goes right to the back. He's the man that just took out the kilometre time trial title. Won't want to get too far back in this field though, because if it splits, it's hard. There's no coming back. It's one of those keep up, you won't catch up situations. So Kane Croup moves up. Hugo Jones takes over. Josh Scott then takes over from his Canterbury teammate. Jacob Willis, he'll swing up the track. They're all being pretty attentive. George Jackson sits midfield. Regan Goff just relaxing at the back.
And we saw a few riders just struggling a little bit off the back there a few moments ago. So that little bit of a surge, that effort to try and get across, and it only looked like 5 or 6 metres. But we can tell you now that will certainly take the sting out of their legs by having to do that. Particularly if they do it on more than one occasion, that could be the difference of whether or not you're going to be at the front of the race when it really starts to count here. As we see Jones just putting a bit of pressure onto the front there. The likes of Regan Goff, the East Coast North Island colours. Now we see 3 of the Southlanders onto the front. Likes of Tom Sexton and co. just continuing just to pour it on to see if they can just snap the legs on 1 or 2. And it's one of their teammates that rolls off the front. So it's up to the other centres to do the chasing. And it looks like Waikato Bay of Plenty. They've spotted Sexton. He's a well-performed rider in these sort of events. They'll have to do the chasing of him here. He'll love being out in front of his home crowd.
Well, it's Gate that's going to get after Tom Sexton. Gate swings up the track. Corbin Strong, he takes over at the front of the group. Sexton swings to the top. So the pace is being picked up. Josh Scott decides, well, we'll keep it going for a little bit. Regan Goff settles it down. So Hugo Jones moves up. And now who's going to go next? Who's the next one to brave it?
It's the calm before the storm. You can just feel it here now as riders just keep putting a bit of pressure on the front. They ease off and another 1 or 2 roll off the front. This time it's Waikato Bay of Plenty. Now we've got Auckland, Southland, Wellington all in the mix there towards the front. But the faces, the colours on the faces, the gritting of the teeth is starting to appear on 1 or 2.
Well, Kean Watts was the Waikato rider that wanted to get that going. Aaron Gate quickly reacted to that, and Gate keeps the pace going down the back. Tom Sexton sitting there third wheel. Then we have Regan Goff back and forth. George Jackson leaves a bike length between them. So Gate moves over, moves up. They come past us. Down the start finish, 24 on the board. It's starting to close down. Regan Goff down the back straight. Then we have Canterbury. Canterbury got two riders that more than capable of taking this race out. No one's been able to break it up. We haven't got that little breakaway that's gone away just yet. Keon Watts decides to keep things going, rolls through. Good to see Keon Watts is a little bit motivated tonight. John Lee will be at home watching that, wanting to cheer him on. Aaron Gate, there he goes again onto the front. Corbin Strong. Where's Corbin Strong sitting right now? He'll just be doing a little bit. He's pretty clever, pretty crafty. He knows he wants this race, but he's got plenty to do, plenty to think about. Regan Goff sits midfield. There's Corbin Strong. Second wheel just goes through to the front now.
So you can see riders going high up onto the track course, 43 degrees on the banking here at the SIT Zero Fees Velodrome. And a few of the riders take that opportunity to have a look down on the field, check out their opposition. You'll see a few of them as they go to the front, they just give it a wee bit of an extra nudge before they finish their lap. Now that allows them there to see a potential gap open about half a dozen wheels back, and they'll often just slot straight back into there rather than having to go to the very rear of the field. But there's still plenty of laps for them at this moment in time, not to be too concerned if they can't quite get themselves in the front half of that field.
They'll come around 19 to go, so they certainly made the laps go by pretty quick. The crowd's starting to get onto the edge of their seat. Aaron Gate, back to where we see him more often than not on the front. Keon Watts sits in behind him. Corbin Strong down the back. Bridgewater, Regan Goff.
Here we go. Looks like the Southlander deciding to give it a bit of a nudge off the front, gets out of the seat, does the Fred Astaire, and who's going to do the chasing it? Looks like the West Coast North Island, but meanwhile, off the front, Corbin Strong, the World Points Race champion, gives it a wee nudge. He goes high up onto the track. He's looking to see if there's going to be a reaction. I think the answer to that is no. The Canterbury riders decided, not at this point, thank you very much. We've got our plans, but it's not 17 laps out.
So some of the riders, they're happy to be in this group, so when they go to the front, they just settle it down a little bit. Tom Sexton goes, well, we might just keep it going. We'll see if we can put more and more pressure on. The riders dropping off, dropping out of the race. As that Gate gets out of the saddle, so Aaron Gate round the back, 15 laps to go, just keeps the pressure on. Regan Goff, Campbell Stewart, Corbin Strong ready to take over. Josh Scott, Hugo Jones also in there. It's no problem at all for those guys. Goff swings over. Campbell Stewart has a look over his shoulder. Aaron Gate tracks him, so Aaron Gate, he takes over down the back straight now. Corbin Strong sitting there, nice and relaxed. Keon Watts, Hugo Jones, Josh Scott still in there as well, so it's coming an elite group with 14 laps to go. George Jackson still sitting in there for Wellington. He's looking comfortable. Every now and again he looks under a little bit of pressure, and then he just closes up, sits on the wheel. Following George Jackson's Corbin Strong. Corbin Strong's looking absolutely sensational out there at the moment. We're fairly relaxed as we often see. Aaron Gates looking good, but there's anybody's race right now. They're all together with 13 to go. Regan Goff has a look under the track. Aaron Gate goes, I just need a little bit more room to get on the inside. Corbin Strong sitting there. One or two just dropping out off the back. Aaron Gate, Corbin Strong. They're marking each other. They're keeping an eye on each other.
Yes, the turbos have been turned off a little bit here, coming into 12 laps to go, and they're re-jostled into positions, and I can notice in the last couple of laps, some of the key contenders have made sure they're on the good wheels, the wheels they consider could be the serious contenders coming into the last 1,000 metres or so. Campbell Stewart looking very relaxed in there. Josh Scott looking comfortable with it as well, as a number of them are here as they start to eliminate more and more. But it's Regan Goff who's gone off the front this time round. He had a good kilo earlier on here tonight, and he's decided to go into pursuit mode, and that has certainly put some pressure on the remainder of the field. It's Southland doing the chasing. They've got Waikato and Auckland there with Gates as well, but meanwhile the endurance man part of the team's pursuit, Goff going off the front. This will certainly pay toll to a lot of the legs further on back as they try to chase on down. 9 laps to go. We are reaching deadly time here with 2,000 metres coming up here. If they ease off, will we see the counter-attack?
So Regan Goff tested the legs, tested the field. Canterbury had a little bit of a plan. Scott and Jones just working to close it down. Aaron Gate goes well. Regan Goff will just test you a little bit now. We'll put the pressure on. Corbin Strong react straight away. Tom Sexton sits on there. Look at Gate. Slots straight into third wheel. So Aaron Gate just covering everything. As soon as they swing up, he'll just keep it going again. There's Corbin Strong going off the front, so a big effort from Corbin Strong. He got 6 to go that time through. Now Campbell Stewart swings up the track. He uses the banking, decides, well, I'll go after them. Regan Goff goes, well, I'm not going to chase him. So Corbin Strong, Regan Goff. Corbin Strong with 6. Campbell Stewart going after him. Tom Sexton coming across as well. Aaron Gates reacted straight away. Kurgazoo, the danger man from the kilometre, sitting on the wheel of Aaron Gate. That's 5 to go. It's lighting up right now. Campbell Stewart, Corbin Strong swing up. Tom Sexton does as well. Aaron Gate moves to the top. George Jackson floats through on the inside. Goes, well, I'm happy with that. Corbin Strong drops down. Campbell Stewart follows. A little bit of a truce. 4 to go as they come around 1,000 metres of racing in the 15-kilometre scratch race. They're spread out across the track. Campbell Stewart sits at the front in the middle. George Jackson outside him. Aaron Gate goes, I'll just keep it rolling on the inside as he does. Regan Goff, Corbin Strong. Josh Scott, Hugo Jones a little bit further back. George Jackson, he's doing well. Young George Jackson to stay in this race, stay in the hunt. So they get 3 to go. The crowd are starting to get a little bit tense, a little bit edgy on the front. Oh, there goes George Jackson. He launches an attack. He goes, well, I can't sprint these boys, so I'm going to go with 3 to go. 2.5. He'll come down. He'll get 2. Wellington's George Jackson. He's got the bit between his teeth and he's going for it with 2 to go. 500 metres. Well, they've looked at Aaron Gate to close it down. Tom Sexton on the outside. Regan Goff. George Jackson, though, he's flying into the bell. Tom Sexton swinging on the handlebars, kicking hard. The bell's going to go for George Jackson. The Wellington man's absolutely flying. Sexton's going after him. They might have left it too late. Jackson's kicking hard. 100 metres to go for George Jackson. They're coming after him. But George Jackson's going to take it. What a win for George Jackson. Takes it out. George Jackson, Nick Kusagu, Campbell Stewart. Well, when you hit them hard. Ladies and gentlemen, they come around. What a ride. And congratulated straight away. They know how good that was. George Jackson. Brilliant performance from George Jackson. Julian, what a finale.
Yeah, patience aplenty there for George, just to wait for his move there. We hadn't seen much of him in the race there, but when it counted, he made his move. Kurgazoo flying home there for the Southlanders to get himself into second and Campbell Stewart into third, but there was nothing they could do about it. The man George Jackson from Wellington taking out a fine effort indeed in a very fast run race here. The final event of the night on this first night of this Elite Under-19 Track National Championships. We'll be doing their presentations in a few moments' time, folks. So hang around and support those riders. And we look forward to seeing you all down here over the next few days as we conclude the racing on Saturday. Plenty of racing still to come.
We're just getting ready for the presentations. Fantastic. Says do stay on and support the riders, and those watching at home, plenty more to come from the Vantage Windows and Doors Elite National Championships. Following the presentations, we'll be going back to review the paracycling time trial finals, which were held earlier in the day. The riders getting themselves ready for the presentation. Of course, they want to get on the rollers and warm down as quickly as possible. Ian Ineson's gone down to the infield for the presentations and the interviews with the riders. It's been a fantastic opening night of the Vantage Windows and Doors Elite and Under 19 Track National Championships. Tomorrow night we'll be back on Sky Sport Next, 5 p.m. which will be the fourth session on day 2 of the Vantage Windows and Doors Elite and Under 19 National Track Championships. Tomorrow morning we'll have individual pursuit qualifying, sprint qualifying sprint round, and of course tomorrow evening there will be some fantastic racing with the Under 19 Karen semi-finals, men's sprints, individual pursuits, and the 19 men's and women's scratch races. So you'll be able to join us from 5 p.m. on Sky Sport Next. There you go, Aaron Gate always got time for some of the young fans, time for a chat. Aaron Gate having a chat with Simon Fennell, Terry Jide, two of the great coaches on the scene. I'm just waiting for the riders to get ready for the presentation. I'll just cross over to Julian Einerson for the medal presentations.
Ladies and gentlemen, the awards ceremony for the 2021 Vantage Elite and Under-19 Track National Championships Elite Women's Scratch Race over 10 kilometres will now take place. Medals will be presented by Tomo from Cycling Southland and also 1998 Commonwealth Games points race champion. In third place and winner of the bronze medal, representing Southland, Riley McMullen. In second place and winner of the silver medal, representing Waikato Bay of Plenty, Mackenzie Milne. In first place, the winner of the gold medal and the 2021 Elite Women's 10K Scratch Race National Champion, representing Auckland, Olivia Ray. Ladies and gentlemen, please show your appreciation for the place getters in the 2021 Vantage Elite Under-19 Track National Championships. Ladies and gentlemen, the award ceremony for the 2021 Vantage Elite and Under-19 Track National Championships Elite Men's 15K Scratch Race Championship will now take place. Medals once again will be presented by Tomo. In third place and winner of the bronze medal, representing the West Coast North Island, Campbell Stewart. In second place and winner of the silver medal, representing Southland, Nick Kirkazoo. In first place, the winner of the gold medal and the 2021 Elite Men's 15K Scratch National Champion, representing Wellington, George Jackson. And George to receive the Phillips Challenge Cup. Ladies and gentlemen, please show your appreciation for the place getters in the 2021 Vantage Elite Under-19 Track National Championships. Well, folks, we've got the opportunity now to catch up on our previous two winners. So we get set up and all ready to go. And of course, the Elite Women's Scratch Race champion, Olivia Ray of Auckland. Well, Olivia, this tops off yet more fantastic results for you over the last 6 months or so.
Yeah, it's been pretty awesome, thank you.
You must be stoked with being able to come into a championship after a big road campaign and to take out a title such as this.
Oh yeah, definitely. The sprints this morning and the 500, well, 250 and the 500 probably was a good warm-up for this, so yeah, excited for it.
It must be a very hard balancing act trying to manage both the road and the track and to perform at such a high level such as yourself.
I mean, it is hard, but I try put my focus into the specifics at the right times. But yeah, it is pretty hard to handle, but I get through.
Well, congratulations on a fantastic sprint finish there at the end tonight. Folks, would you put your hands together for Olivia Ray? Well, folks, we're joined here by the Scratch Race champion for the men's, of course, George Jackson of Wellington. Well, George, there was a lot of patience waiting there for the opportune moment.
Yeah, just saw the timing. Everyone just swung up to the top of the fence, and I was at the back and just used the speed off the top of the banking and just went for it.
Of course, winning any national championship is always particularly special, but when you looked at the calibre of riders that were in there, you know, former world champions, national champions in the mix there, this must be extra special.
Yeah, it's a pretty special racing with all these fast guys and getting to train with them, learn off them. It's, yeah, pretty cool to beat them when they're so fast, yeah.
Well, congratulations on a fantastic finish here tonight on day one. Folks, would you put your hands together for George Jackson of Wellington?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thanks very much for joining us here in the stadium and, of course, live on Sky Sport Next for this opening night of the Vantage Windows and Doors Elite and Under 19 National Track Cycling Championships. Dale Woodford and Julian Einarson bringing you the action. We look forward to doing it again tomorrow night from 5 p.m. And if you've just don't go away, we saw some great action today. Earlier in the day, we had the national championships for the paracyclists, the 500 metre and 1,000 metre time trials. Stay with us on Sky Sport Next and we'll bring you the coverage right away. Sarah Illingworth in the starting blocks, getting set. This is the women's paracycling C1, C5 time trial final. 2 laps of the track. She's decided to use the suit style bike with the aero bars. Got out nicely, way nicely out of the starting block, starts to get into her work, get on top of the gear. Down the back straight, still out of the saddle. Sits down, gets tucked in onto the aero bars. Auckland Sarah Illingworth. Through the first lap, 26. Looking good down the back straight, heading into turn 3. Sarah Illingworth, a C2 athlete. The paracycling program for the 45.580. A good performance from Sarah, just under 40 kilometres an hour from the standing start. The paracycling program is just growing in strength for the cycling para riders. They're developing more and more riders coming through. Sarah Illingworth, 45.580. Nicole Murray from Waikato Bar Plenty is now getting herself ready. So Nicole, C5. Classified athlete, and of course to get medals, to medal in the para, it's based on world standards, so they have to perform to a level to get a medal. Very focused in the start blocks. Out of the blocks nicely, he's got the Southern Spar wheels on, likewise using the Pursuit style bike with the low profile bars to start, and then she'll settle into position on the aero bars. Nice start from Nicole Murray. We're looking to post a really good fast time here at these national championships. And she's going really well down the back straight into turn number 3. Now this is where it really hurts in the time trials. Fight the last bend and bring it home. Nicole Murray, what can she stop the clock in? 38.754. Just over 46 kilometres an hour, 38.754. Very, very good ride. And Nicole Murray in the C5, 38.74. Sarah Ellington, the C2, 45.580. There's different classifications for these riders. So ladies and gentlemen, we'll move on to the 2021 Vantage Elite and Under 19 National Track Championships presentations for Women's Paracycling C1, C5 500 metre time trial final. The medals will be presented by Martin Barra, the Cycling New Zealand High Performance Director. In second place and winner of the silver medal representing Auckland, Sarah Illingworth. In first place and winner of the gold medal in the 2021 Women's Paracycling C1, C5 500 metre time trial national champion representing Waikato Bar Plenty, Nicole Murray. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for our medal winners and champion, Nicole Murray. Nicole, fantastic ride. Congratulations on the gold medal. What was it like on the track?
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, good conditions today. Had a bit of an issue with nerves, but I'm working on that, and I'm glad to have made some gains with that today. So, yeah, pretty happy. Not a PB for me in total, but not far off it. And considering I broke my hand 6 weeks ago, I'm not too upset about my time. Yeah.
And for the rest of the championships?
Really looking forward to doing a PB on the boards tomorrow. Yeah, it's going to be a good one.
Congratulations, well done.
Thank you very much.
Devin Briggs gets himself set. I've followed Devin for a number of years. And even though he competes, he's competing here, the paracycling C1, C5 1,000 metre time trial final. He competes with non-para athletes on equal terms in the bunch races. He's given the thumbs up. We know the family will be at home. They were seeing him off at the airport yesterday morning at 6 a.m. We all boarded the plane to come down. So Devon's a C4 para athlete, and he's got away out of the blocks nicely and winding up really quickly on top of the gear down the back straight. So Devin Briggs settles in onto the aero bars. Always looking good, plenty of encouragement coming from the stands and in the infield for Devon. Devin Briggs is getting plenty of support and he's still travelling well. He's got some stiff competition, so he knows that he's got to post a really good time. He's got to leave everything on the track today. He'll come in. He'll get the bell. Sorry, he finishes with 108. Devon Esquire Briggs. Very good performance. 108.630. This rider on the track in this paracycling C1, C5 1,000 metre time trial final from Auckland, Nick Blenko. So he's seen what Devon can do, what he's done. He's posted the time, 108.630 in this final. Nick Blenko. Another super impressive rider in the paracycling program. Damien Wiseman just checking the helmet. Damien looks after the paracycling athletes. Very, very good coach. I've watched Nick on a number of occasions. Outstanding rider. He's away. The starting gate's open. He gets that gear going. Getting into his first lap. He'll tuck himself in onto the aero bars shortly. There he goes. It's quite a difficult manoeuvre, and he's done it well at speed. Nick Blenko, C4 athlete in this men's 1,000 metre time trial final. He's seen the time, Devin Briggs, 108.630, and he's up after that first lap. Both riders competing in the C4 category. So Nick Blenko, he's looking good. Comes around, what's he going to stop? The clock is going to be close. 17888. So heat 7, our final rider on the track in this C1, C5 1,000 metre time trial final. The time to beat, Auckland's Nick Blenko, 107.888. Connor Douglas from Southland, he'll have plenty of home support. Also a C5 classified athlete. Oh, good start from Connor. Ripped it out of the starting gate. So Connor Douglas, he's seen what Nick Blinko's produced. He's seen what Devin Briggs has produced. He goes through the half lap in the top spot. Gets onto the aero bars. The crowd just start cheering him on as well. Through the first lap, first 250, 19.9 in the first position. So now he's just got to concentrate, hold it together. A little bit of a flick up the track. He's travelling well though. Southlands. Connor Douglas. This is the C1, C5, the final rider on the track. He's the only man that can knock Nick Blinko off the top spot. The bell goes. He's just faded a little bit. It's going to be tight. Can he finish it off and bring it home? Into turn 3, still down slightly with half a lap to go. Comes around, tries to kick hard, bring it home. What's he going to be able to do? Third fastest with a 108.692. Great start. There we go, the results up on the screen. Nick Blinko with a 107.888. Devin Briggs and Connor Douglas. So very tight for the top 3 in the C1, C5 1,000-metre time trial. The men's paracycling C1, C5 1,000-metre time trial final. The medals will be presented by Martin Barrar, Cycling New Zealand High Performance Director. In third place, and winner of the bronze medal, representing Southland, Connor Douglas. In second place, and winner of the silver medal, representing Waikato Bay Plenty, Devin Esquire Briggs. And in first place, winner of the gold medal in the 2021 men's paracycling C1, C5 1,000-metre time trial champion, representing Auckland, Nick Blinko. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for your medal winners. Connor Douglas, Devin Briggs, and your champion, Nick Blinko. Nick Blinko, that looked like a pretty good ride out there. You happy with your performance?
Yeah, most definitely. It was quite a big PB, taking about a half a second off where I was about a year ago. So yeah, pretty happy working on that start lap and then just trying to hold it together at the end.
Plenty of competition for you in this time trial as well. It was close between all 3 riders.
Yeah, it's awesome to see the young guys coming up through paracycling. Like, there's a lot of depth coming through. So, very, very happy to put together a world-class time and keep them at bay.
Well done, congratulations, and good luck for the rest of the championships.
Cheers, thank you very much.
Emma Foy, Nina Wollaston. The 1,000-metre time trial final. And they will be looking to produce a world-class time in this event. They've got out of the blocks. Wait, really quick on the tandem. It's not easy to do. Out of the starting gate. Look at them wind it up down the back straight. They are looking good. Both riders settling. Emma Foy tucks their head down, pushes hard on the pedals. Lap 1 settles in, 21.7 for the opening lap. It's a good opening lap. Nina Wollaston steering the tandem around, piloting Emma Foy. They're sitting just over 49 kilometres an hour. There's a lot of work to hold that tandem down on the pole line position. The bell goes, 51.7. 52 kilometres an hour. From the standing start on the tandem, Emma Foy, Nina Wollaston. They're certainly not slowing down. They come to the line. They stop the clock. 107.718. Now move on to the women's paracycling tandem BVI 1,000 metre time trial final. Martin Barra, the Cycling New Zealand High Performance Director, will again present the medals. In first place, winner of the gold medal and your national champion, representing Northland, Emma Foy, and her pilot Nina Wollaston. Ladies and gentlemen, give them a big round of applause. The world-class team of Emma Foy and Nina Wollaston. Emma, congratulations winning the title, but were you happy with your time?
Yeah, it's a good time for us, and this is our first ever kilo on the track together, so it was good to just ride together and see how we go.
Nina, how hard is it to get the tandem out of the blocks and around those corners?
Yeah, it's a bit of a beast to move, but once you get it going, it holds pace pretty well. So, yeah, I think we're learning every time we race together, and I think we executed quite well today. Yeah.
Coming up in the program, the 3,000 metre, that'd be the really targeting a good time in that.
Yeah, we've been training well together, and we have an idea of what we can do, and so tomorrow we'll again, it's our first actual pursuit together, so yeah, we'll see.
Well, congratulations on a great start, and good luck for the rest of the championships.
Thank you very much.
So event number 8 at the Vantage Elite and Under 19 Track National Championships. It's the men's paracycling BVI 1,000 metre time trial final. Mitch Wilson and his pilot Zach Williams. So Zach gets the tandem out of those starting gates. He'll wind it up. Mitch pushing hard on the back. The good pairing. We'll see how they go over the 4 laps. Now they onto the aero bars. That gets tucked in on the front. Mitch head down and behind him. He's on the drops. He's got to keep those elbows tucked in, stay as aero as possible. 34.7 through the 500. Mitch Wilson, Zach Williams. Bell goes. 55 kilometres an hour at the moment. Good to hear plenty of support for this pairing on the track. They come in, just bringing it down to the finish. They're going to stop the clock. It's 104, 105. Our final presentation at the Vantage Elite and Under 19 National Track Championships for this morning's sessions is the men's paracycling tandem BVI 1,000 metre time trial final. Once again, Martin Barra, the Cycling New Zealand High Performance Director, will present the medals. In first place, the winner of the gold medal, representing Waikato Bay Plenty, Mitch Wilson and his pilot, Zach Williams. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for Mitch Wilson and Zach Williams. Mitch, congratulations. That looked like a really great performance out there on the boards.
It was good for our first race together, but unfortunately not quite a PB, but it's a good start for him. So.
Good start to the championship, Zach, powering that tandem around. First time, how did it feel?
Yeah, he's it's pretty good. Bit of fun riding with Mitch. He tends to surprise me midway through the ride and decides he wants to turn one way in the middle of the corner. But he's good. No, it's awesome. Good way to start the champs, and got a few more days of it yet. So yeah.
So even though not a PB, plenty to work on, being it's your first ride, Mitch.
Yeah, it's a good start point. It's you know, tandem's a little bit of a different game to a single bike, so you just sync up and work out the right gears and get used to each other and all that. So we've only had about a month on the bike so far, so that's yeah, it's a real good start point.
Well done, that was impressive, and good luck for the rest of the championships.
Cheers, man.
Welcome to the virtual world, Jace. Sit to learn, there's so many great online courses, bro.
Oh, I don't have that luxury, Fitu. It's too expensive.
Bro, zero fees, kid.